Chapter 1302. But what old man Qin didn't know was that time had no concept for Qin Feiyang. Because the rules of time in the castle had changed. 10 days had passed inside, but only 1 day had passed outside. However, Qin Feiyang couldn't tell anyone else about the changes in the castle. "Just tell me." Qin Feiyang smiled and said with a pleading tone. "You little brat." Old man Qin shook his head helplessly and said, "I can tell you, but I hope you don't bite off more than you can chew." Qin Feiyang was overjoyed and quickly nodded. Old man Qin said, "The opportunity to become a god is only 12 words. 12 words. Qin Feiyang was immediately stunned and asked, "Is it that simple?" "Of course not. Only by comprehending the true meaning of these 12 words and doing it can you get the opportunity to become a god." Old man Qin said. "Then what are these 12 words?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Don't forget your original intention, don't forget your original heart, only then can you achieve results." Old man Qin said word by word, sonorous and powerful. Boom! Qin Feiyang was like a bolt from the blue, his head rumbling. Old man Qin's words were exactly the same as what Uncle Yuan said last time. In other words, when Uncle Yuan appeared last time, he had already told him the opportunity to become a god, but he didn't comprehend it. In other words, Uncle Yuan's appearance last time might be to tell him the opportunity to become a god. What do these 12 words mean? Qin Feiyang asked. You need to comprehend it yourself, others won't help you at all. Old man Qin said. Phew. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and bowed, "Thank you for your guidance, old man Qin. Go ahead, do what you want to do." Old man Qin waved his hand and smiled. Qin Feiyang nodded, turned around and soared into the sky. While thinking, he flew toward the teleportation altar. Didn't forget his original intention mean that he shouldn't forget why he first stepped on the path of cultivation? And didn't forget his original heart mean that he shouldn't forget his true thoughts in the depths of his heart? According to the literal meaning, it should be so. But was it really that simple? If it was really that simple, then why were there so few people in this world who had successfully stepped into the war god realm? Very soon. He entered the secret room and arrived in front of the teleportation altar. It seems that with my current cultivation, I still can't understand the true meaning of this sentence. However, we can tell Wang Yangfeng and the others first. Qin Feiyang muttered as he took out the image crystal. Wang. A short while later. Fatso's phantom appeared. Fatso looked at the secret room behind Qin Feiyang and asked suspiciously, "Boss, where are you?" Butterfly Valley. Are Elder Wang and the others around? Qin Feiyang asked. They split up and went to Pan County and Yen County to gather information. I'm about to sneak into the inner palace to take a look. What are you doing in Butterfly Valley? Fatso asked suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, I'm going to the Forgotten Continent. Before I go, I have 2 things to tell you. Forgotten Continent. Fatso was taken aback and said, Go ahead. First, when Wang Yangfeng and the others come back, you tell them this sentence. Don't forget your original intention, don't forget your original heart, only then can you achieve success. These 12 words, Elder Qin told me just now, are the opportunity to become a war god. Second, after finding out the whereabouts of Lin Yi and the mermaid princess, you all return to the Bright Sky Palace immediately. If anyone asks, just say that I'm in seclusion and won't see anyone. Qin Feiyang said. The opportunity to become a war god. Fatso's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. When Uncle Yuan said this sentence, he was also present. At that time, he even pondered the meaning of this sentence. But he didn't expect it to be the opportunity to become a war god. Remember, especially Lu Xingqian, you must not let him know that I went to the Forgotten Continent. Qin Feiyang said. No problem. Fatso nodded, but then frowned and thought, Lu Xingqian is easy to deal with, but Mu Qin has omniscient eye. How can it be hidden? If there is nothing important, will he use omniscient eye to spy on my whereabouts for no reason? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. That's true. Fatso nodded thoughtfully. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. He said, there is a problem that Fat Lord has never been able to figure out. What's the problem? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Back then, your mother said that the former emperor branded the word prisoner on the foreheads of the state preceptor and Zhuge Shenfeng. And this word prisoner can never be erased. But why didn't I see the word prisoner on the state preceptor's forehead? Is it a makeover? But your mother seems to have said that even a makeover won't work. Fatso said. I have also thought about this problem. I think, he should be wearing a human skin mask. Qin Feiyang said. Human skin mask, Fatso's eyes suddenly became playful. He chuckled and said, say, if one day we tear off the mask on his face in front of everyone, how surprised will people be? Qin Feiyang shook his head in amusement and said, don't forget what I told you just now. Don't worry, Fat Lord will hold them back. But after you go to the Forgotten Continent, don't forget another thing. Heavenly Spiral Tribe, Chu Xian. Fatso said, murderous intent flashing in his eyes. Heavenly Spiral Tribe, Qin Feiyang murmured. The people of this tribe hated them to the bone, especially Chu Xian. Back then, the resentful look in her eyes was as if she wanted to pull out their tendons and pull out their bones. If they kept them alive, sooner or later they would become a disaster, so it was necessary to get rid of them as soon as possible. I will find her. After saying that, Qin Feiyang turned off the image crystal, opened the teleportation altar, and strode up. Forgotten Continent. Glacier Forest. This place was still the same as before. The cold wind was bone-piercing, and the snow was white. Swish. Above the ice lake. Qin Feiyang appeared out of thin air. Glancing around, he was about to leave. But suddenly, he faintly felt a wisp of dragon's aura under the ice lake. What's going on? Isn't this where the snow python stays? Qin Feiyang had a suspicious look on his face as he silently entered the ice lake. Get out! But at this time, a cold shout with a bone-piercing murderous intent suddenly exploded in Qin Feiyang's mind. Qin Feiyang quivered and hurriedly turned around and ran out of the ice lake. Because the owner of this voice was the snow python. Senior, Junior did not mean to disturb, please forgive me. Looking at the ice lake, Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said a few words. He then flew away without looking back. What a joke. This snow python was a true god of war. Even the state preceptor could not resist it, let alone him. So, it was better to stay away from her. But what was with that dragon's aura? Could it be that a baby dragon was born under the ice lake? Dragon, Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. The dragon's aura at the bottom of the ice lake reminded him of the little white dragon in the main tower. He did not know where the little white dragon was hiding. Looks like I have to talk to Li Yan. Because only Li Yan could find the little white dragon. This is the Forgotten Continent. But suddenly, a voice full of curiosity entered Qin Feiyang's ears. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He stopped in the air and turned his head to look. His body suddenly stiffened. He saw a young man with dark skin and bare upper body standing above the ice lake, curiously looking around. Who else could it be but Lu Zheng? Little cousin, long time no see, did you miss me? Lu Zheng also looked at Qin Feiyang and grinned, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Whoosh! Lu Zheng cut across the sky and rushed in front of Qin Feiyang. He said unhappily, you are too mean. We are brothers who have been through thick and thin. Why didn't you call me when you came to the Forgotten Continent? Wait. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand and frowned, aren't you in the imperial capital? Yes. I am in the imperial capital. Lu Jing nodded. Then why are you here? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. From the imperial capital to the spiritual state, one had to pass through the pagoda. And the pagoda was guarded by Zhuge Nanhua. How did Lu Jing come? Also, why didn't Elder Qin stop him? Lu Jing touched his chin and laughed. About this question, I can only say that I am too handsome. Zhuge Nanhua and Elder Qin are charmed by me. Qin Feiyang's face darkened and his veins bulged. He really wanted to slap him. What do you want to do? Don't forget, I am your cousin. The eldest brother is the father. If you dare to touch me, you will be struck by lightning. Lu Jing crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at him warily like a frightened little girl. Qin Feiyang looked at the sky and was speechless. He really didn't want to stay with this outrageous cousin. But he was helpless. This outrageous cousin was clearly going to pester him to the end. Actually, Lu Zheng's face suddenly became serious. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked, actually what? It was Elder Qin who helped me. Lu Zheng said. Qin Feiyang was surprised. In the past, he didn't know about the state preceptor's conspiracy, so Elder Qin didn't like our Lu family very much. But now, he has already sided with us. Speaking of which, this is still to your credit. Lu Jing said with a smile. I see. Qin Feiyang murmured. Lu Jing asked, by the way, where is Aunt? Mother, she's missing again. Qin Feiyang sighed. What the hell? Lu Zheng's face froze, and he said, she's not in your castle. Qin Feiyang shook his head. What are you doing? It wasn't easy to save Aunt. How can you abandon her? Lu Zheng said angrily. Who said that I abandoned Mother? Let me tell you, no one in this world cares about Mother more than I do. Qin Feiyang shouted. Lu Zheng also realized that he had said something wrong. With a trace of apology on his face, he asked, then what's going on? Qin Feiyang briefly told him about the situation when his mother left. Alas! Aunt, why did you do this? After hearing this, Lu Jing couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He grabbed Lu Zheng's clothes and said anxiously, from what you said, do you know where Mother went? How would I know? Lu Jing rolled his eyes at him and sighed, I'm just lamenting that Aunt's life has been too difficult. She should stop and have a good rest. A trace of disappointment crept into Qin Feiyang's eyes. He let go of Lu Zheng's clothes and nodded, yes, if Mother could stay by my side with peace of mind, I wouldn't have so many worries. Only with worries can there be pressure. Only with pressure can there be motivation. Work hard, young man. Chapter 1303. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at Lu Zheng. He was not young anymore. Was it appropriate to call him a young man? You can only stay in the Forgotten Continent for half a month. If you do not report to me after half a month, I will personally come to find you. But at that time, you will have to pay a heavy price. Suddenly, the snow python's cold voice came from the ice lake. What? Qin Feiyang's face changed, and he hurriedly said, Senior, it was not like this before. You also did not brazenly bring people here before. The snow python said. Qin Feiyang's body stiffened. He hurriedly pointed at Lu Zheng and shouted, I don't know him at all. He jumped out by himself. What? You don't know me? Your words make me very angry. Lu Zheng glared at him. Qin Feiyang glanced at him indifferently and looked at the ice lake, saying, Senior, I really don't know him. You can do whatever you want. Even if you kill him, I have no objections. Bastard! You will be punished by the heavens sooner or later, Lu Zheng angrily roared. Tisk! Qin Feiyang looked at Lu Zheng with disdain, and then looked at the ice lake, saying, Senior, half a month is too short. Can you give me a few more days? However, no matter what he said, the snow python did not respond to him. It's all your fault. Qin Feiyang glared at Lu Jing angrily. It's none of my business. Lu Jing coldly snorted. Qin Feiyang rubbed his head, turned into a stream of light, and flew away. Half a month had passed in the blink of an eye. He had to speed up. Wait for me. Lu Jing hurriedly caught up and asked in a low voice, who was the woman who spoke just now? You seem to be very scared. Nonsense. Even the state preceptor could not fight back in front of her. Do you think I'm not scared? Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. What? Then wouldn't she be? Lu Jing was dumbfounded and full of shock. As long as you understand. Qin Feiyang said. TSK TSK TSK. There are even real war gods, this forgotten continent is truly an interesting place. Lu Jing was speechless. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Interesting. Qin Feiyang snorted inwardly. Although it was interesting, it was also a place where people could lose their lives. Where to now? Lu Jing asked. Let's leave this glacier first. Qin Feiyang said. Whoosh! The two of them streaked across the sky like lightning and soon flew out of the glacier forest, arriving in the sky above a desolate tribe. Lu Jing scanned the tribe and asked suspiciously, why is there no one here? Dead. Qin Feiyang said. The tribes in the first and second regions had all been massacred by the mysterious madam. It would be strange if there were people. He waved his hand, and a group of ferocious beasts appeared. There were at least 80 or 90 of them. They were all 9-star emperor beasts, including the seahorse and the seal. Qin Feiyang said, I want to find a tribe. Seahorse and seal, take a pair each and split up to look. What tribe? Is it easy to find? The seahorse and the seal asked. Yes. Because there is only one tribe in the first region. In short, as long as you find someone, he must be from that tribe. Qin Feiyang said. Understood. Brothers, let's go. The seahorse and the seal nodded. Then, with a shout, the 89 9-star emperor beasts left in a mighty manner. Cousin, why is there only one tribe in the first region? Lu Jing asked suspiciously. Let's talk as we walk. Qin Feiyang said. Lu Jing had just come to the forgotten continent, so he would definitely ask endless questions along the way. Therefore, for the sake of peace, it was better to tell him everything about the forgotten continent at once. Time passed in the blink of an eye. 4 hours later, Qin Feiyang brought Lu Jing to the sky above the ruins of Sky Thunder City. The entire city had long been reduced to ashes. Now, it was overgrown with weeds and shrubs, looking extremely desolate. However, the Pill Tower was still standing on the ground, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura. This Pill Tower is not simple. When Lu Jing saw the Pill Tower, a trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked, what do you mean? Lu Jing flew over and carefully observed for a moment, saying, according to my speculation, this Pill Tower has a history of at least 10,000 years. But if you look carefully, there is not even a trace of weathering on the surface. If it is just an ordinary stone tower, how can it be? You are right. This Pill Tower is indeed not simple. Back then, when we were fighting here, the entire city was razed to the ground. Only this Pill Tower is intact. Qin Feiyang said. Could it be a divine artifact? Lu Jing was bewildered. Qin Feiyang said, if it is a divine artifact, even if it has not recovered, it should still have divine power. But do you feel divine power? No. Lu Jing shook his head and walked around the Pill Tower. Then, he stood in front of the door and asked, do you want to go in and take a look? The door was wide open. The inside was full of dust and the walls were covered with cobwebs. Whatever? Qin Feiyang said. When Lu Zheng heard this, he immediately rushed into the pill tower. In addition to the mess, there were many skeletons inside. Lu Zheng asked, were the owners of these skeletons killed by you back then? I'm not sure. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The mysterious woman massacred the first area after he left, so the owners of these skeletons should have died in the hands of the mysterious woman. But it had been too long, so he could not remember clearly. Help! Who can save me? The two of them had just reached the second floor when a cry for help suddenly sounded upstairs. Someone is here. The two of them were stunned. Whoosh! The next moment, the two of them used their fastest speed and rushed to the third floor like lightning. Immediately, they saw a 13 or 14-year-old boy curled up in the corner of an alchemy room. In front of him, there was a group of black spiders. Each of them was the size of a fist and looked quite ferocious as they hissed. Lu Zheng asked secretly, he can't be from the Heavenly Spiral tribe, right? Most likely. Qin Feiyang mumbled. The boy also noticed Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng. As if he had grabbed onto a life-saving straw, he immediately shouted, "Big brothers, please save me." Qin Feiyang stepped forward and stomped on the ground. The spiders on the ground were all killed instantly. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. The boy was dumbfounded. These ferocious creatures that almost killed him were killed by a single stomp. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the blood mist dissipated. Then, he looked at the boy and asked, "What's your name?" The boy stammered. It seemed that he was frightened by Qin Feiyang's methods. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows, turned around and said, "Come out with me first." The boy stood up and followed Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng timidly. They walked up the stairs and went to the first floor. However, when they reached the second floor, the boy suddenly raised his head. His eyes that were originally filled with fear were filled with a shocking murderous glint. Following that, he took out a dagger from his Qianquan bag and stabbed towards Qin Feiyang's back. The boy only had the cultivation of a martial master, while Qin Feiyang was a war emperor. The difference was like heaven and earth. How could the boy succeed? Qin Feiyang stopped and released a wisp of aura. The boy was sent flying and crashed into the stone stairs behind him. Clang! The dagger fell to the ground. The boy spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, but he looked at Qin Feiyang with eyes full of hatred and madness. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the boy and said indifferently, "I saved you. Why aren't you grateful? Instead, you want to assassinate me? Because you deserve to die." The boy roared. "Why do I deserve to die? Do I have a grudge against you?" Qin Feiyang said. "You devil, don't think of getting any useful information from me." The boy sneered. "You have a good backbone, but unfortunately, you found the wrong person. If I'm not wrong, your surname should be Chu, and you're from the Heavenly Spiral tribe. And since you're here, the Heavenly Spiral tribe should be nearby, right?" Qin Feiyang said. "My surname is not Chu, and I don't know what the Heavenly Spiral tribe is." The boy roared, but his expression was full of panic. "He's so young, but he's already so vicious. It seems that this Chu Xian has instilled a lot of hatred into him." Lu Zheng sighed. "That's normal. If it weren't for me, the Heavenly Spiral tribe wouldn't have been expelled to the first district." Qin Feiyang said. "So you still know? What did my Heavenly Spiral tribe do wrong? What right do you have to do this?" The boy went crazy when he heard Qin Feiyang's words. Qin Feiyang said, "You only know that I was the one who expelled your Heavenly Spiral tribe, but you don't know why I did it. It seems that Chu Xian deliberately hid this matter from you. The Patriarch didn't hide it from us. Isn't it because the Patriarch offended you back then, and you used your position for personal gain to take revenge on us? You're a damned devil. The boy roared hysterically. Patriarch? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Chu Xian actually became the patriarch of the Heavenly Spiral tribe. But thinking about it, Chu Xian's father was already dead, and as a former disciple of the main tower, Chu Xian naturally had the ability to do so. Qin Feiyang glanced at the boy and said indifferently, "Tell me, where is your tribe? You'll die a horrible death. Just you wait." The boy smiled ferociously and slammed his head into the stairs. Blood splattered 3 feet, and he died on the spot. Lu Zheng was dumbfounded and muttered, "How much hatred do you have with the Heavenly Spiral tribe that he would rather die than say it?" Seeing this scene, Qin Feiyang was even more determined to kill Chu Xian. On one hand, it was for his own sake. Although the Heavenly Spiral tribe wasn't very strong, he always remembered one sentence, and that was not to underestimate anyone. As long as it was an enemy, he had to eliminate them completely. On the other hand, it was because Chu Xian was instilling this hatred in the people of the Heavenly Spiral tribe. For example, this boy was blinded by hatred and even his nature was distorted. Once such a person became powerful in the future, he would definitely lose his mind. You want to continue? Qin Feiyang turned to look at Lu Zheng and asked. Lu Zheng looked up at the upper floors and said, "Since we're already here, we have to go up and take a look. Go do your thing, don't worry about me." Chapter 1304. But looking around, there was nothing except for the vast mountains. It must be nearby. Qin Feiyang muttered. With the youth's cultivation, it was impossible for him to go far. Swoosh! He turned into a stream of light and searched within a radius of a few hundred miles around the Pill Pagoda. A few hundred breaths later, he found a huge canyon. The canyon covered an area of several miles and was lush with vegetation. In the canyon, wooden buildings were arranged in a picturesque manner, forming a huge tribe. "I've finally found you," Qin Feiyang muttered. He stood on the peak of a mountain on one side of the canyon and scanned the area below. At the same time, in the canyon, in a square, a young woman in a purple dress stood on the high platform, her face as cold as ice. That's right. She was Chu Xian. Below the high platform, there were many youths standing in an orderly manner. The oldest of these youths was only 15 or 16 years old, while the youngest was only 6 or 7 years old. Chu Xian glanced at those youths and shouted, "All of you must remember this. The reason why our Heavenly Spiral tribe has fallen to such a state is all because of him." Chu Xian pointed to the opposite side of the square. There was a statue standing there. The statue's appearance was exactly the same as Qin Feiyang's. Those youths turned their heads and looked at Qin Feiyang's statue with hatred in their eyes. "It's him who chased us out of the Central Divine Kingdom. It's also him who killed our old patriarch. But he's very strong. He can even destroy our Heavenly Spiral tribe with one hand. However, our Heavenly Spiral tribe never admits defeat and will never give up on returning to the Central Divine Kingdom. So, I want all of you to remember him. I want all of you to work hard in your cultivation. Because only by becoming stronger can we take revenge on him. Understand?" Chu Xian shouted. "Understood." Those youths roared with murderous intent. Even those 5 or 6-year-old children were full of murderous intent. There were many adults around, their eyes filled with hatred. "Hurry up and cultivate." Chu Xian nodded in satisfaction and waved her hand. After the youths left, a middle-aged woman walked up to the stage and said, "Xian, I know you hate Qin Feiyang, and we all hate him, but you can't tell the children these things every day. It will make them lose their happiness." "Happy? Do we still have the right to be happy now?" Chu Xian snorted coldly. The woman was her birth mother, but there was no emotion in her eyes, only coldness. Alas! The woman sighed deeply, then silently turned and left. Chu Xian glanced at the woman's back and clenched her fists. She sneered, "Qin Feiyang, I swear I'll make you pay. Do you have the ability?" But before he could finish his sentence, a voice filled with mockery sounded. "Who?" Chu Xian looked up and saw a white figure descending from the sky. "It's you." Immediately, her eyes were filled with killing intent, but at the same time, there was also a trace of panic. Damn it! How did he find this place? The other people in the tribe also changed their expressions. Qin Feiyang landed on the square and looked at the statue opposite him. He shook his head and said, "You're really unscrupulous in order to take revenge. What are you doing here? Get out of here right now, you're not welcome here." Chu Xian shouted. "There are too many people who don't welcome me, and you're just the most insignificant person among them." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the statue shattered. Chu Xian trembled and said angrily, "You've already driven us out of the central divine kingdom, what else do you want?" Qin Feiyang turned to look at her. His cold eyes made Chu Xian despair. She never thought that Qin Feiyang would find this place. And Qin Feiyang's purpose of coming here was very obvious. He wanted to eliminate the source of the problem. "If you can turn over a new leaf and turn over a new leaf, I'll consider letting the heavenly spiral tribe go. But what you've done has disappointed me. It's not fair for you to impose your hatred on those children." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Fair? Haha, if there's such a thing as fairness in this world, why would the heavenly spiral tribe end up like this?" Chu Xian had gone crazy. "Until today, you still haven't realized your mistake. You're really hopeless." Qin Feiyang raised his arm and pointed at the air. A wisp of red sword chi appeared and swept toward Chu Xian's chest. "Everyone, go. Even if we have to risk our lives, we have to take him down with us." Chu Xian shouted as she retreated in panic. Whoosh! The woman who had left earlier returned and blocked in front of Chu Xian. The red sword chi directly pierced through her heart. Ah! A scream and blood splattered in the air. "You demon, beast, we'll kill you." Looking at the woman who had fallen, the surrounding people's eyes suddenly turned red. They roared and rushed toward Qin Feiyang without caring about anything else. Even those youths were grabbing all kinds of ice blades as they charged towards Qin Feiyang with extreme hostility. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and Viper appeared. "You know what to do, right?" "Of course." Viper licked his lips and his eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang rose into the air and stood on the top of the mountain. He looked into the distance with a trace of inexplicable sadness in his eyes. There were many things in this world that made people helpless. Take the heavenly spiral tribe for example. If he didn't eliminate them today, these people would definitely try their best to take revenge on him in the future. As for right and wrong, they didn't care. Because they only remembered that it was he, Qin Feiyang, who drove the heavenly spiral tribe out of the central divine kingdom. And this hatred was something they would never forget. And it would be passed down from generation to generation. Finally, this hatred would only grow deeper and deeper. "Qin Feiyang, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost." A moment later, accompanied by a vicious roar, Chu Xian finally ended this evil life. Viper also ended the battle. With a wave of his hand, the valley collapsed and the earth sank, covering everything. Whoosh! Viper landed beside Qin Feiyang and said respectfully, "Young master, it's all done." Qin Feiyang nodded and didn't look back. He flew toward the Pill Pagoda with Viper. Lu Zheng studied in the Pill Pagoda for a long time but couldn't find anything, so he gave up. After the seahorse and seal brought the 9-star emperor beasts over, Qin Feiyang changed his appearance and opened a portal. He and Lu Zheng directly appeared in the Ice Crystal City in the 9th region. Outside the city, It was covered in snow and the cold wind was biting cold. Strange. Why is this place covered in snow and ice? Lu Zheng disguised himself as a thin young man wearing a large cotton-padded jacket. He walked on the main road and looked around suspiciously. I've thought about this question, but I can't figure it out. Qin Feiyang shook his head. He had disguised himself as a burly man with bulging muscles all over his body. He was filled with a valiant aura. Moreover, both of them hid their cultivation and aura. Lu Jing glanced at him and muttered, "It seems that if I have the chance, I really have to study this continent properly. It's too abnormal." Stop. The two of them walked up to the city gate and were stopped by the 4 guards in front of the city gate. What's the matter? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. One of the guards took out a heaven's eye stone and said, "Please accept the interrogation." Why? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. See for yourself. The guard pointed to the side of the city gate. Qin Feiyang turned his head and saw a portrait hanging on the wall. Next to it were 3 big words, extremely eye-catching. When Lu Jing saw the wanted poster, his face couldn't help but twitch. He secretly joked, "The great Qin Empire is looking for you, and the forgotten continent is also looking for you. Why are you so unpopular?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Looking at the wanted poster, he frowned slightly. The reason why he changed his appearance was because he didn't want to be found out. Because, there were several fake gods in the main tower. The Mu family's foundation was also unfathomable. Once his identity was exposed, the main tower and the Mu family would definitely come to settle the score with him. He thought that it would be easy to fool them, but he didn't expect that the main tower's wanted poster had already been issued to the 9 regions. This was not going to be easy to deal with. Most importantly, even the city gate was so heavily guarded. The teleportation altar to the central divine kingdom would definitely be even more difficult to fool. Didn't you enter the main tower before? If you show your identity token in the main tower, won't they let you in immediately? Lu Jing said with a smile. It's useless. My identity token is the direct disciple of the main tower master. It's different from the token of an ordinary disciple. Now, the main tower master doesn't have a single disciple. If I take it out, it will directly expose my identity. Qin Feiyang secretly said. In my opinion, you are a jinx. No matter where you go, you will always be in trouble. Lu Jing looked at him helplessly. With a wave of his hand, his battle chi surged. The 4 guards screamed and died on the spot. Hearing the screams, the people inside and outside the city immediately looked over. When they saw the 4 guards lying on the snow, their faces immediately changed. Murder! Someone killed the city guards! Exclamations constantly sounded in the city. Hee hee! Since we can't fool them, we will directly kill our way in. This is in line with our character. Lu Jing laughed cruelly. He turned into a stream of light and directly flew to the sky above the city gate. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He also flew into the sky and flew into the city. Stop! How dare you kill the guards of the city? Did you eat a leopard's guts? Along the way, there were guards constantly intercepting them, but they were all easily dealt with by Lu Jing. After a while, the 2 of them arrived above the teleportation altar. Sure enough, as Qin Feiyang expected, this place was even more heavily guarded than the city gate. More than 100 guards of the city lord's mansion surrounded the square. Each of them had the cultivation of a battle saint. Beside the teleportation altar, there were 4 old men sitting cross-legged. The 4 of them were wearing long robes. Their white hair was mottled, and their auras were unfathomable. They all wore a pure gold token on their waists. And on the token, there was a flame pattern. Although the faces of the 4 people were unfamiliar, Qin Feiyang was able to identify them with a single glance. Because that token was the Master Tower's Oracle token. In other words. Chapter 1305. The 4 divine messengers were here. And their cultivation levels weren't bad. 2 3-star combat emperors and 2 4-star combat emperors. With such a lineup, even a fly wouldn't be able to get past them. Similarly, this lineup was more than enough to deal with Qin Feiyang in the past. However, the main pagoda underestimated Qin Feiyang's current strength. With his current foundation, no matter how many 5 or 6-star combat emperors there were, they wouldn't be able to stop him. Of course, the people from the main pagoda never dreamed that Qin Feiyang would be able to recruit so many powerful subordinates in such a short period of time. Who are you? Why are you causing trouble in Ice Crystal City? The 4 divine messengers stood up and looked at Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng with cold eyes. Qin Feiyang didn't answer as he sized up the 4 of them. What are you looking at? Hurry up and answer our questions. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. We aren't ordinary people. We are the divine messengers sent by the main pagoda. If you provoke us, even the Heavenly King won't be able to save you. The 4 of them shouted. Qin Feiyang chuckled and said, "You've finally said something right." What do you mean? The 4 of them raised their eyebrows. Even the Heavenly King won't be able to save your lives today. Qin Feiyang grinned and took a facial restoration elixir. His appearance immediately changed. It's you. Qin Feiyang. The 4 of them turned pale with fright. They never thought that it would be him. Qin Feiyang. He actually dares to come back. Doesn't he know that the main pagoda is looking for him? Everyone's heart was filled with shock. Just as Qin Feiyang regained his original appearance, the seal appeared. Kill him. Qin Feiyang said indifferently. No problem. The seal laughed. The aura of a 9-star combat emperor erupted like a volcano and instantly shrouded the entire Ice Crystal City. Everyone was imprisoned at this moment. This is, a 9-star emperor beast, quickly report to the main pagoda master. The 4 divine messengers' expressions changed as they hurriedly activated the teleportation altar. But how could they make it in time to revive the teleportation altar? The seal's emperor's aura rolled out, and the 4 divine envoys were also restricted, unable to move. Immediately, the seal's emperor's aura pressed down on the 4 of them from all directions. Following a series of miserable cries, the 4 died one after another. Blood splattered everywhere, leaving behind only 4 cosmos bags and 4 divine envoy medallions. He actually killed Kill. When the guards of the city lord's mansion saw this scene, they couldn't help but turn pale. The position of the god envoys in the Forgotten Continent was equivalent to the Great Qin Empire's law enforcement palace, and each god envoys had the power to kill. Even the super tribes of the Central Divine Kingdom had to be respectful when they saw the divine envoys, let alone the 9 regions. To kill to die. Everyone was scared out of their wits. But there was an old man in the crowd outside the square who was not imprisoned by the seal's aura. His body was stooped, his clothes were tattered, his hair was unkempt, his face was dirty, and he smelled like a beggar. But if one looked closely, they would find that there was a glimmer of light in his turbid eyes. He stood silently in the crowd, looking at Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng. Swoosh! Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng landed beside the teleportation altar. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Battle chi surged, and the teleportation altar was activated. Then, 2 people and 1 beast stepped onto the altar in a grand manner and disappeared from sight. Little guy, you're amazing. You actually dared to enter the Central Divine Kingdom so openly. It was Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng. After the seal disappeared, the old man in ragged clothes with unkempt hair and a dirty face chuckled. Main Pagoda. Pill Pagoda Square. The old man in black guarding the teleportation altar was staring at the teleportation altar. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang, Lu Zheng, and the seal appeared on the teleportation altar. When he saw Qin Feiyang, the old man in black suddenly stood up, and a strong murderous intent emerged in his eyes. He didn't say a word. He directly released his emperor's aura and rushed toward Qin Feiyang. "You're courting death." A trace of disdain flashed in the seal's eyes, and it suddenly broke through the air. The next moment, it rushed in front of the old man in black, raised its claws, and slapped the old man's head. Ah! Accompanied by a shrill scream, the old man in black's head burst open on the spot, and blood spurted out wildly. "What's going on?" Many disciples came and went in the Pill Pagoda Square. Hearing the scream of the old man in black, they all turned their heads to look. Without exception, when they saw the old man in black fall, their faces changed color. When they saw Qin Feiyang, a trace of bewilderment appeared on everyone's faces. "He's Qin Feiyang. No, the chief pagoda master is now looking for him. How could he come back? Could it be that my eyes are playing tricks on me?" Everyone couldn't believe what they saw in front of them. "It's Qin Feiyang. Everyone, quickly report to the elders." Suddenly, someone roared. Qin Feiyang glanced at them, then took Lu Zheng and the seal to the castle, and then steered the castle into the chief pagoda. "What? Qin Feiyang is back. He dares to come back at this time. Did he eat a leopard's guts?" 1 spread to 10, 10 spread to 100. The news of Qin Feiyang's return quickly spread in the chief pagoda and the divine city, causing an uproar. There was no suspense. Everyone who received this news was extremely shocked. The Oracle Hall. A oracle hurriedly ran to the front of a hall and shouted, "Hall Master, this subordinate has something to report." "What's the matter?" Gongsun Bei walked out of the hall and frowned. "Qin Feiyang is back," the oracle said. "Qin Feiyang?" Gongsun Bei was stunned and hurriedly asked, "Where is he now?" "I don't know. He disappeared as soon as he arrived at the Pill Pagoda Square. No one knows where he's hiding now," the oracle said. Gongsun Bei said angrily, "Isn't the teleportation altar guarded? How did he get in?" "I'm afraid you won't believe me even if I tell you, Hall Master. The 4 oracles we sent and the elder at the Pill Pagoda Square all died at the hands of Qin Feiyang," the oracle said. "How is that possible? When did he have such strength?" Gongsun Bei was surprised. "This subordinate doesn't believe it either, but it's the truth. However, it said that the one who killed them wasn't Qin Feiyang himself, but a 9-star emperor beast by Qin Feiyang's side," the oracle said. 9-star emperor beast. Gongsun Bei murmured and said in a deep voice, "Immediately gather all the oracles and guard the teleportation altar at the Pill Pagoda Square. Without my orders, no one is allowed to enter or leave." "Yes," the oracle replied with a bow. Gongsun Bei continued, "In addition, inform everyone that the news of Qin Feiyang's return is to be kept a secret from junior brother and you, This subordinate understands. This subordinate will do it right away." The oracle nodded and turned around to leave. "Wait." Gongsun Bei suddenly thought of something. "Hall Master, do you have any other instructions?" The oracle stopped and turned to look at him with a puzzled expression. Gongsun Bei pondered for a while and said, "Don't let the oracles below the 9-star combat emperor realm go. After all, Qin Feiyang has a 9-star emperor beast by his side. If a fight breaks out, it won't do us any good." "Understood." The oracle nodded and hurriedly left. "Qin Feiyang, since you've already left, why did you come back? Don't you remember what I said to you back then? When we meet again, you and I are enemies. I won't show any mercy." Gongsun Bei looked up at the sky and muttered to himself. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Then, he opened a teleportation gate and walked in without looking back. "Lord, this subordinate wishes to see you." In front of a courtyard, Gongsun Bei stood at the entrance, looking at the closed door of the pavilion and respectfully said, "Come in." The chief tower master's voice came from inside. Gongsun Bei pushed open the door of the courtyard and walked to the front of the pavilion. He gently pushed open the door of the pavilion, and the chief tower master immediately entered his sight. The chief tower master was sitting in front of the tea table in the hall. Not only was his face pale, but his eyes were also extremely gloomy. "Lord, you've already received the news." Gongsun Bei glanced at the chief tower master and walked into the hall. He stood in front of the chief tower master and asked. "Yes." The chief tower master nodded and slammed his palm on the tea table. He said angrily, "Not only did he kill my chief tower's oracle and the enforcement elder, but he also brazenly entered the central divine kingdom. Is he provoking me? Lord, please calm down." Gongsun Bei's eyes trembled. The chief tower master looked up at Gongsun Bei and said in a deep voice, "This time, I don't care what method you use. You must capture him for me, understand? This subordinate will do his best. However, this subordinate feels that the Oracle Palace's strength is not enough to capture him." Gongsun Bei said. "What do you mean? I know that he came back this time with a 9-star monarch beast, but can a mere 9-star monarch beast stump the Oracle Palace?" The chief tower master said angrily. "If there was only one 9-star monarch beast, this subordinate naturally wouldn't say such a thing. However, Lord, have you thought about it? With Qin Feiyang's intelligence, will he recklessly enter the central divine kingdom with just one 9-star monarch beast?" Gongsun Bei said. The chief tower master frowned and said, "You mean that he has more than one 9-star monarch beast?" "I don't know if he has more 9-star monarch beasts, but I know him. He never does things that he's not confident in. Therefore, this subordinate concluded that he must have other means." Gongsun Bei said. "Then, what do you think we should do?" the chief tower master asked. Gongsun Bei said, "Go to the land of inheritance and ask the 3 patriarchs to come out of seclusion. They are all false gods. It will be a piece of cake for them to deal with Qin Feiyang." The chief tower master pondered for a while and nodded. "All right, go and tell them the truth. I think they will definitely take action." "Yes." Gongsun Bei responded respectfully and was about to turn around and leave. "Don't go." However, at this moment, a cold voice resounded in the hall. "Qin Feiyang." Gongsun Bei and the chief tower master's expressions changed as they immediately looked around. Whoosh! The next moment. Chapter 1306. The chief pagoda master immediately became furious and shouted, "You still dare to come here?" Gongsun Bei's eyes flashed. He walked to the chief tower master's side and looked at the man and beast warily. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and sat opposite the chief tower master. He smiled faintly. "This is not a tiger's den. Why wouldn't I dare to come here? Arrogant." The chief tower master flew into a rage. Qin Feiyang said faintly, "I didn't come back to cause trouble." "Then why did you come back?" Gongsun Bei asked. Qin Feiyang said, "I want to know where the Mu family's base is." Both the chief tower master and Gongsun Bei were stunned. They thought that Qin Feiyang had come back this time to continue fighting against them. They didn't expect that it was for the Mu family. "Why are you asking about this?" Gongsun Bei was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, "Don't worry about this. Anyway, it will only benefit you." "Only benefit? Are you joking? You used Hao, and Yu, to steal the divine crystals and heavenly flames. You even massacred millions of creatures in the 9 regions. Do you think I will believe you now?" The chief tower master sneered. "Then what do you want?" If you don't like it, then let's fight. Stop talking nonsense. The seal was overbearing. It didn't put the master of the Forgotten Continent in its eyes. Shut up. I am talking to your master. Who are you to interrupt? Don't think that you can do whatever you want in my chief tower just because you are a 9-star combat emperor. Let me tell you, you are not qualified. The chief tower master yelled. Fuck. You're still being arrogant. Boss Qin, bring out our main force and flatten this bullshit chief tower. The seal was furious. Main force. Gongsun Bei's pupils shrank as he looked at Qin Feiyang. It seemed that the seal wasn't the only 9-star combat emperor around this kid. Qin Feiyang chuckled. He looked up at the chief tower master and said, I want to make a few points clear. Firstly, I'm not the owner of the seal. He and I are friends. So what it says is equivalent to what I want to say. If you're not convinced, let's play. Let's see who will lose out in the end. Qin Feiyang said. So confident. Gongsun Bei's heart trembled. How many experts were there in the army that the seals mentioned? Was that powerful and mysterious madam hiding by Qin Feiyang's side right now? Secondly, I was indeed the one who stole the divine crystal. As for the profound sky flame, the heavenly thunder flame, and the frost flame, they are all in my hands. As for the other alchemy fires, such as the Big Dipper flame and the bloodbath in the first and second regions, whether you believe it or not, I didn't do it. Qin Feiyang added. Gongsun Bei frowned. If it wasn't you, then who was it? Don't tell me you don't know. Of course I know. I told you before, but you didn't believe me. Qin Feiyang said. Gongsun Bei frowned and pondered for a moment. You mean, it was the Mu family? Yes. It was the mysterious madam who massacred the first and second regions. It was the Mu family who stole the Big Dipper flame and the other alchemy fires. And the role I played at that time was just a chess piece in their hands, taking advantage of them a little. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Chess piece. A chess piece can get the heavenly thunder flame, the heavenly thunder flame, and the frost flame. In my opinion, you are in cahoots with them. You are in cahoots with them. The chief tower master sneered. Whatever you say. Anyway, I have a clear conscience. Now, can you tell me where the Mu family is? Qin Feiyang said. Gongsun Bei didn't answer. Who has the divine crystal now? The mysterious madam. Qin Feiyang didn't hide it because there was no need to. The mysterious madam's strength was beyond imagination. Even if the chief tower master knew, he couldn't do anything to her. Of course. If the chief tower master really fought with the mysterious madam, then he would be happy to see it. Because in this way, he could sit back and reap the benefits. After all, he was also very interested in the divine crystal. The chief tower master asked, where is the mysterious madam? Qin Feiyang said lightly, I don't know. After I gave her the divine crystal, we parted ways. He was a little puzzled. Originally, after he left the Forgotten Continent, Mu Qing should have used the all-seeing eye to predict the mysterious madam's location. So, Mu Qing must have known that the mysterious madam was hiding in the Endless Sea. At that time, the Mu family and the chief tower master were in a cooperative relationship. If the Mu family knew, then the chief tower should also know. But now, why did the chief tower master come to ask him? Could it be that the Mu family didn't tell the chief tower master the whereabouts of the mysterious madam? After thinking about it for a while, it was really possible. Because the Mu family also wanted the divine crystal. The chief tower master looked at Qin Feiyang's expression and said in a deep voice, you really don't know, or are you pretending not to know? Is it so important to tell the truth? If you really want to know, I can show you the way to monitor the Mu family. If I'm not wrong, the Mu family is also looking for the mysterious madam now, and they will find it before you. Qin Feiyang smiled. The Mu family, I kindly took them in and gave them a place in the central divine kingdom, but they pretended to obey in front of me. They really deserve to die. The chief tower master clenched his hands, and the murderous intent in his eyes was undisguised. This Mu family's people have always been ambitious. Gongsun Bei shook his head and sighed. In fact, he had long suspected the Mu family, and he had told the chief tower master about this before, but there was no evidence. However, even if there was evidence, what could he do? The Mu family's strength was unfathomable, and the chief tower might not be able to fight them. Suddenly, Gongsun Bei looked at Qin Feiyang, his eyes flashed slightly, and asked, Qin Feiyang, how about we join forces? Join forces? Qin Feiyang was stunned. The chief tower master also looked at Gongsun Bei in astonishment. Although all of this was done by the mysterious madam and the Mu family behind the scenes, Qin Feiyang was also a participant. And the heavenly thunder flame, the mysterious sky flame, and the ice flame were indeed in the hands of Qin Feiyang. Logically speaking, shouldn't they first get rid of Qin Feiyang and take back the three kinds of alchemy fire? But why did Gongsun Bei take the initiative to ask for Qin Feiyang's help? My lord. At this point, it doesn't make sense for us to deal with Qin Feiyang. Because Qin Feiyang's position is already very obvious, he wants to deal with the Mu family. Instead of continuing to fight with him, it's better to join forces with him to deal with the Mu family. Gongsun Bei thought to himself. If the chief tower continued to fight with Qin Feiyang, then the biggest winner in the end would undoubtedly be the Mu family. This point. In fact, the chief tower master could also think of it. But for him to put down his pride and cooperate with Qin Feiyang, he couldn't do it. He was the ruler of the Forgotten Continent, how high was his status? And what about Qin Feiyang? Although he was the descendant of the Qin Emperor had disappeared, maybe even died. Most importantly, Qin Feiyang used to be his disciple. The master-disciple relationship suddenly became an equal partnership, no matter who it was, they couldn't accept this kind of change. My lord. I know what you're thinking. But do you really think that Qin Feiyang relied on his ancestor, the Qin Emperor, to get to where he is today? I can tell you that he didn't. I don't need to tell you how strong the Mu family and the mysterious madam are, my lord, you know. However, this kid was able to rely on his own brain to deal with them until now, and even took advantage of them. Just this ability alone is not something that ordinary people can compare with. Moreover, this time he came back without fear, so I think that he is fully qualified to cooperate with us. My lord, you don't need to be so rigid about the master-disciple relationship. Gongsun Bei said. The chief tower master fell silent. Also, I don't believe that he doesn't know where the mysterious madam is. He must be lying to us. And if we cooperate with him, then we can use him to find the mysterious madam and take back the divinity crystal. Gongsun Bei said telepathically, his eyes flashing. Take back the divinity crystal. The chief tower master's eyes trembled slightly, and he took a deep breath, secretly saying, how can you be sure that he wants to deal with the Mu family? Because he's asking about the Mu family's base. Gongsun Bei said. What does this mean? The chief tower master raised his eyebrows. It means that his relationship with the Mu family is not that good, otherwise the Mu family wouldn't hide the location of their base from him. If my lord is still worried, I can ask him in person. Gongsun Bei said secretly. Then ask. The chief tower master said. Gongsun Bei looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, since we're talking about cooperation, then we must be honest with each other first. What are you trying to say? Qin Feiyang said. He was also surprised that Gongsun Bei would propose cooperation. Gongsun Bei said, are you asking about the Mu family's base to deal with them, or for something else? Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said with a smile, well, I'll tell you. The Mu family is my mortal enemy. Since you're mortal enemies, then why are you helping them? The chief tower master said angrily. Qin Feiyang said lightly, I just said that I was just a chess piece before, and I had no choice. The chief tower master's face sank. Although it was the Mu family and the mysterious madam who had been adding fuel to the fire behind the scenes, to be honest, Qin Feiyang was the one who deserved to be killed the most. Because without him, it would be difficult to accomplish all of this. Gongsun Bei glanced at the chief tower master, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, one more question. What's your situation in the great Qin Empire? In the past, the whole world was my enemy, but now, I can do whatever I want. Qin Feiyang said casually. Do whatever I want. The two of them were shocked. Haha. The great Qin Empire actually allowed a mere one-star combat emperor to do whatever he wants. I can imagine how bad the great Qin Empire is now. The chief pagoda master suddenly laughed out loud. His laughter was filled with ridicule that couldn't be dispersed. Qin Feiyang glanced at him indifferently as if he was looking at a clown. Gongsun Bei was also silent as he looked at Qin Feiyang. Chapter 1307. When he heard the first half of Gongsun Bei's words, Qin Feiyang was still calm, but when he heard the second half, his face immediately became gloomy. Wasn't it because of the current emperor? And he didn't want to think about this unbearable past. Seeing this, Gongsun Bei's heart trembled. Could there be some hidden story here? But what kind of hidden story could cause Qin Feiyang and the great Qin Empire to become enemies? However, Gongsun Bei was a smart person. Seeing the change in Qin Feiyang's face, he tactfully didn't pursue the matter. Gongsun Bei smiled, since it's a cooperation, then I will personally take you to the Mu family's nest. Qin Feiyang was stunned and joked, I don't think I agreed to cooperate with you yet, right? If you cooperate with the head tower, not only can you eliminate our past grievances, but you can also get rid of the Mu family. It can be said to be killing two birds with one stone. To be honest, I really can't think of a reason for you to refuse. Gongsun Bei smiled. Huh, Qin Feiyang laughed and cupped his hands, Brother Gongsun is wise and capable, this one admires you. You flatter me. Gongsun Bei waved his hand and smiled. No, I'm telling the truth. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the head tower master and sneered, to be honest, it's a big loss for you not to pass the position of head tower master to Brother Gongsun. The head tower master's face immediately became gloomy. When Gongsun Bei heard this, his eyes trembled slightly, and he immediately glanced at the head tower master with an uneasy expression. Qin Feiyang smiled disdainfully. This was disdain for the head tower master. As the ruler of the forgotten continent, if he only had this little vision and vision, he would be suppressed sooner or later. Qin Feiyang got up, looked at Gongsun Bei, and asked, when do we leave? So, Brother Qin agrees to cooperate? Gongsun Bei asked. Brother Gongsun, how could I refuse your kind invitation? Qin Feiyang smiled. Gongsun Bei was overjoyed. He cupped his hands and smiled, we can set off at any time. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, then smiled and said, then let's wait a few days. Besides, since it's a cooperation, shouldn't the arrest warrant be removed? It will definitely be removed, but not now. After all, everyone knows that you have come to the Central Divine Kingdom. If we remove the arrest warrant now, the Mu family will definitely suspect our relationship. Gongsun Bei smiled. You can even think of this. Impressive. Qin Feiyang raised his thumb and said, when I'm ready, I'll come and find you. Goodbye. I won't see you out. Gongsun Bei said. Qin Feiyang glanced at the chief pagoda master and disappeared with the seal. Gongsun Bei let out a sigh of relief and shook his head. Negotiating with this guy is really troublesome. The chief tower master turned to look at him and said, then do you feel a sense of accomplishment? Gongsun Bei was stunned and quickly bowed, this subordinate dares not. Chief Pagoda Master's eyes flashed with a cold light as he said, just now, Qin Feiyang said that it would be a great loss for me if I don't pass the position of Chief Pagoda Master to you. Tell me honestly, do you also think the same? Gong Sun Bei's body trembled, and he hurriedly said, this subordinate has never thought so. Please understand. It's best not to have such thoughts. Otherwise, if I can cultivate you, I can also make you fall into the abyss. The Chief Tower Master said. This subordinate will bear it in mind. Gong Sun Bei bowed. Go, prepare well. This time, no matter what, we must get the divine crystals back. If there is a chance, it would be best to kill Qin Feiyang as well. The Chief Tower Master ordered, his eyes flashing with killing intent. Yes. Gong Sun Bei respectfully replied, then turned around and strode away. Inside the ancient castle, Qin Feiyang looked at the Chief Tower Master on the screen in front of him, and his eyes flashed coldly. Lu Zheng stood beside Qin Feiyang, shook his head and said, this person is too narrow-minded. Even if he has the cultivation of a 9-star combat emperor, it will be difficult for him to achieve great things. I don't care about him at all. The only person in the chief tower that I am afraid of is Gong Sun Bei, other than the few fake gods. Qin Feiyang sneered. Lu Zheng said suspiciously, this Gong Sun Bei has both ability and talent. Why would he follow the chief tower master so loyally? It should be for his belief. Gong Sun Bei's belief is the chief tower. For the reputation of the chief tower, he can sacrifice everything. Perhaps in our eyes, he is a little foolish, but sometimes, aren't we the same? Qin Feiyang muttered. Everyone had their own beliefs. They would fight for their beliefs and die for their beliefs. The only difference was that everyone's beliefs were different. Gong Sun Bei's belief was the chief tower. The commander of the Kirin army believed in the emperor. His belief was to protect his family and the empire left behind by his ancestors. Belief, Lu Zheng muttered to himself. Everyone had their own beliefs, but what was his? Next. Qin Feiyang began to cultivate in the ancient castle. Although the snow python only gave him half a month, he was confident that he could imitate the first stroke of the Xing character formula in less than half a month. Time passed quietly. 80 days had passed in the ancient castle. Only 8 days had passed in the outside world. Buzz. Early in the morning. Qin Feiyang's fingertips trembled. The first stroke of the Xing character formula suddenly erupted with a dazzling divine light that illuminated the entire ancient castle. Boom! His cultivation soared like a volcanic eruption. In the blink of an eye, he had reached the level of a 2-star combat emperor. 10 days in the ancient castle is 1 day outside. This is really a cheat. Lu Zheng exclaimed. In the past few days, his cultivation had also advanced by leaps and bounds. Qin Feiyang glanced at Lu Zheng and said, I have a question that I can't figure out. What question? Lu Zheng looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, where did your Lu family get the recipes for the various pills that can unlock the door of potential? Lu Zheng rolled his eyes and said jokingly, it's a long story. Listen to me slowly. Okay. I'll listen to you slowly when I have time. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him and asked, do you want to go out and join in the fun? 8 days had passed. There were only 7 days left. They could not delay any longer. It's such an interesting thing. Of course. Lu Zheng said. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Then, he appeared in the hall again with Lu Zheng. In the past 8 days, the news of his return had spread throughout the central divine kingdom. But no one knew that he was in the chief tower. As for Wang Yuer and young Master Hao, ever since they turned against Qin Feiyang, they had entered seclusion. And they were in seclusion. In addition, Gong Sun Bei had deliberately concealed it, so they had not received any news until now. And now, In the entire Central Divine Kingdom, only the two of them did not know that Qin Feiyang had returned. In the attic. Sensing Qin Feiyang's aura, the Chief Tower Master immediately walked out of the cultivation room inside. He glanced at Lu Jing suspiciously, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said in a deep voice, "Have you been here all this time?" "No. I've been dealing with some personal matters these past few days," Qin Feiyang said. The Chief Tower Master secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If Qin Feiyang had been hiding here all this time, then the conversation between him and Gongsun Bei that day would have definitely been heard by Qin Feiyang. In that case, the plan to snatch back the divine crystals would undoubtedly be ruined. Qin Feiyang certainly knew what the Chief Tower Master was thinking. So he did not show any abnormalities and said indifferently, "Time is of the essence. Quickly inform Gongsun Bei." The Chief Tower Master took out an image crystal and informed Gongsun Bei. Then he looked at Lu Jing and asked, "Who is he?" "I'm someone you can't afford to offend." Lu Jing laughed arrogantly. A hint of hostility flashed in the Chief Tower Master's eyes. Lu Jing continued, "I'm not bragging, but with the forces behind me, I can destroy your Chief Tower with a wave of my hand. So you'd better be polite to my little cousin." "What a big tone." The Chief Tower Master laughed sinisterly. "Not only a big tone, but also a strong fist. How about it? Do you want to try?" Lu Jing looked at him provocatively. Good, good, good. You've successfully infuriated me." Killing intent flashed in the Chief Tower Master's eyes. Just as he was about to attack, Gongsun Bei arrived. Seeing the atmosphere, he hurriedly said, "Sir, please calm down. Sir, you're the ruler of the Forgotten Continent. Why bother with a junior?" "Humph." The Chief Tower Master snorted through his nose. Suppressing the killing intent and anger in his heart, he said, "Take them and leave immediately." "Yes." Gongsun Bei respectfully replied. He waved his hand and opened a teleportation gate. Looking at Qin Feiyang and Lu Jing, he said telepathically, "Let's go." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and stepped into the teleportation gate. Lu Jing looked at the Chief Tower mockingly and followed in. Gongsun Bei smiled helplessly and cupped his hands, saying, "Sir, if a battle breaks out later, I may ask the three ancestors of the Legacy Land for help. Please allow it. Do as you deem fit." The Chief Tower Master said expressionlessly. Meaning, he gave Gongsun Bei full authority to deal with it. "Thank you, sir." Gongsun Bei thanked him and turned into a stream of light, rushing into the teleportation gate. "Little bastard, just you wait. Sooner or later, I will make you regret what you did today." When the teleportation gate dissipated, the Chief Tower Master muttered to himself, his killing intent undisguised. Obviously, he bore a grudge against Lu Jing again. At the same time, above a mountain range, Qin Feiyang and the other two appeared one after another. Below, the mountains rose and fell as far as the eye could see. As for the mountain streams, the vegetation was verdant, the rivers were surging, and the aura of berserk beasts was everywhere. Moreover, the weakest one was a War Master level berserk beast, and saint beasts were everywhere. One could even sense the aura of an emperor beast. "Where is this?" Qin Feiyang scanned the mountains and rivers suspiciously. "Fire Phoenix Mountain Range," Gongsun Bei said. "What? You mean, the Mu family's lair is in the Fire Phoenix Mountain Range?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "Yes." Gongsun Bei nodded. This, Qin Feiyang's expression stiffened. Of course, he knew about the Fire Phoenix Mountain Range. Back then, Fatso and Li He were in the Fire Phoenix Mountain Range, helping Yen Wei open the door to potential. He had heard of the Fire Phoenix Mountain Range more than once. It was said that berserk beasts ran rampant here, and it was a very dangerous place. But he never thought that the Mu family's lair would actually be here. Chapter 1308. Gongsun Bei glanced at the mountain range and smiled. Although the Mu family's base is here, if no one leads the way, you won't be able to find it even if you turn the Fire Phoenix mountain range upside down. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Lu Jing also looked at him curiously. There's only one entrance to the Mu family's base, and the Mu family set up an illusion at the entrance. This illusion can confuse people's eyes and minds. If you're lucky, you can walk out alive, but if you're unlucky, you'll be trapped inside and die. Gongsun Bei said. I see. Qin Feiyang and Lu Jing were enlightened. Let's go. Gongsun Bei took the lead and flew into the depths of the mountain range. Qin Feiyang and Lu Jing looked at each other and quickly followed. After flying for a while, Gongsun Bei suddenly slowed down and walked side by side with Qin Feiyang. He said, I think you should be more polite to the Chief Tower Master. He's a selfish bastard. Why should we be polite to him? Lu Jing said in disdain. Gongsun Bei said, but he's the ruler of the Forgotten Continent after all. Angering him won't do you any good. Lu Jing said, I'm really not afraid of him. Gongsun Bei looked at Lu Jing in surprise and looked at Qin Feiyang. He smiled and said, aren't you going to introduce him? My cousin. Qin Feiyang said 3 simple words. Lu Jing said unhappily, hey, is this how you introduce people? You should say, my cousin is a talented man, unparalleled in the world, loved by everyone, and flowers bloom when they see him. Scram. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. How shameless. Cousin, Gongsun Bei murmured and looked at Lu Jing meaningfully. Lu Jing rolled his eyes and suddenly looked at Gongsun Bei. He asked, Brother Gongsun, don't you feel wronged staying with the Chief Tower Master? Wronged? Gongsun Bei was stunned. He asked in confusion, why do you say that? My cousin told me about your situation. With your ability, you're definitely qualified to be the next Chief Tower Master. Yet now, this head pagoda master has excluded you for the sake of his own selfish desires. Could it be that you do not have the slightest complaint? Lu Jing said angrily, feeling that it was unfair to Gongsun Bei. Gongsun Bei shook his head and smiled. You're really open-minded, but why don't you consider following my little cousin? Although my little cousin is a bit of a good-for-nothing, he's much better than the Chief Tower Master. I can guarantee that if you follow my little cousin, you will definitely be able to display your true talent. And your stage will become even bigger. Lu Jing instigated. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. To be honest, if Gongsun Bei was really willing to follow him, he would warmly welcome him. But what he valued was not Gongsun Bei's ability and talent, but Gongsun Bei's character. Because Gongsun Bei was a person who knew how to repay kindness. Back in the Chief Tower, when he snatched the divine crystal, Gongsun Bei let him go on account of his ancestors' kindness to the Forgotten Continent. This was the best proof. At the same time, hearing Lu Jing's words, Gongsun Bei was stunned. He didn't expect that Lu Jing would ask him to join Qin Feiyang. Moreover, if you follow my cousin, you can open the door of potential that everyone dreams of. This is a great benefit that others can't even ask for. Lu Jing continued to tempt him. Haha. However, Gongsun Bei just smiled indifferently. If I were just an ordinary person, I would definitely be tempted by your offer. But I'm not an ordinary person. I'm the Temple Master of the Oracle Temple. The meaning of this sentence was very clear. No matter how tempting the offer was, he would not leave the Chief Tower. You're really stubborn. Lu Jing was a little annoyed. This is not stubbornness, it's responsibility, it's responsibility. Gongsun Bei smiled. Lu Jing still wanted to say something, but Qin Feiyang reached out to stop him. He smiled faintly. Everyone has their own aspirations, there's no need to force yourself. However, he was more and more satisfied with Gongsun Bei. Responsibility, responsibility. Everyone understood the meaning of these words, but how many people could really do it? Fire Phoenix Mountain Range, layers upon layers of mountains, majestic and magnificent. The three of them continued to go deeper. The beasts they encountered were also getting stronger and stronger. Battle Master level beasts were basically nowhere to be found. They were all sacred beasts. As they continued to go deeper, gradually, even sacred beasts could not be found. They were all emperor beasts. However, the cultivation of the three of them was not ordinary. Ordinary emperor beasts were not a threat to them. Time flew by. Half an hour passed. The three of them had already entered the deepest part of the Fire Phoenix Mountain Range. The lowest cultivation of the beasts here was a 5-star battle emperor. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Qin Feiyang could only call out the seal and the seahorse. With the seal and the seahorse, they could basically do whatever they wanted in the Fire Phoenix Mountain Range. Not there yet. Lu Jing began to get impatient. Soon. Gongsun Bei looked ahead and said. Qin Feiyang followed his gaze and saw a majestic mountain range at the end of the earth. The mountain range stretched up and down. Some places were as high as thousands of feet. And the shortest place was 700 to 800 feet. It was like a giant dragon lying on the ground, emitting a mysterious aura. The entrance is somewhere in the mountain range. But when we get here, we should try not to get entangled with the beasts here. Because here, we might encounter the Mu family at any time. Gongsun Bei whispered. Qin Feiyang nodded and whispered, Seahorse, seal, quickly restrain your aura. What are you afraid of? If one comes, we'll kill one. If two comes, we'll kill two. The seahorse and the seahorse laughed. As the beast kings of the Sea of Reincarnation, they were ruthless characters like wolves and tigers, so they didn't put the Mu family in their eyes at all. Qin Feiyang's face twitched, and he said playfully, I hope that when we see the fake gods of the Mu family, you can still be as powerful as you are now. What? Fake gods? As soon as the two beasts heard this, they immediately retracted their aura. Do you know what you're doing? Lu Zheng looked at them in amusement. What? The two looked at him suspiciously. Lu Zheng said disdainfully, You're a typical bully. TSK. Aren't you the same? Not convinced? Then go and fight the fake gods of the Mu family for 300 rounds. If you really dare to go, we'll call you uncle. The two snorted coldly. Lu Zheng's mouth kept twitching. Fight the fake gods for 300 rounds. Isn't that courting death? You don't dare, right? Then don't talk about us. You're no different from us. The two despised him. Despised? Lu Zheng smiled bitterly. These two guys are not easy to deal with. Roar. Boom. Crack. In front. Suddenly, there was a deafening sound of fighting. There's someone. Gongsun Bei was shocked and hurriedly said, Quickly enter the jungle below. No need. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, looked at the two beasts, and said, Come to my shoulder. The two beasts quickly shrank to the size of a palm and landed on Qin Feiyang's shoulder, each occupying one side. Immediately after, Qin Feiyang grabbed Lu Zheng and Gongsun Bei and directly activated the concealment technique. The three men and two beasts immediately disappeared into the void. In front. Above a jungle. Two young men in black and a black eagle were fighting crazily. The terrifying battle fluctuations rushed in all directions like mountains and seas. In less than a few breaths, the jungle and mountains below were destroyed, and it was a scene of devastation. The berserk beasts in this area fled at the sight of the battle. The 2 men and 1 beast were locked in a fierce battle and did not notice that a group of people was quietly approaching. This group of people was naturally Qin Feiyang and the others. I recognize them. Gongsun Bei transmitted his voice after seeing the faces of the 2 young men in black. Who are they? Qin Feiyang asked. The Mu family has many monstrous geniuses, and they are 2 of them. They have only cultivated for 500 years and have the cultivation of a 3-star combat emperor. Gongsun Bei said. To the people of the Mu family, to cultivate to a 3-star combat emperor in 500 years, can they be considered monstrous geniuses? I think they are idiots. Lu Jing snorted. This, Gongsun Bei's face was filled with astonishment. To cultivate to a 3-star combat emperor in 500 years, they were considered idiots in this person's eyes? What a joke! If they were idiots, then what was he? A trash that was worse than an idiot? Qin Feiyang said, I agree with cousin's words. What? You agree? Gongsun Bei was speechless. These 2 fellows were really talking without knowing their own backsides. He admitted. To Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng, cultivating to a combat emperor in 500 years was indeed not a difficult thing. This was because Qin Feiyang had the method to unlock the door of potential. However, in this world, not everyone had unlocked the door of potential. It wasn't an exaggeration. To be able to step into a combat emperor in 500 years without unlocking the door of potential was definitely a rare and monstrous existence. Qin Feiyang glanced at the 2 young men in black, then turned to Gongsun Bei and asked with a smile, Do you know why I agree? Why? Gongsun Bei didn't understand. Qin Feiyang said, because they have unlocked the door of potential. What? Gongsun Bei's gaze trembled as he sized up the 2 young men in black and asked, Have you seen them before? Never. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then how do you know? Gongsun Bei was surprised. Qin Feiyang said, because the ancestor of the Mu family also had the method to unlock the door of potential. This, Gongsun Bei was stunned and couldn't say a word for a long time. The ancestor of the Mu family was called Mu Tianyang. This person was an existence that could be compared to my ancestor when he was alive. He had a pill scripture that recorded all the pill recipes in the world. It included the pill recipes of all the major pills that could unlock the door of potential. Qin Feiyang said. Mu Tianyang. Gongsun Bei was stunned as he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I've heard of this name. You've heard of it? This time, it was Qin Feiyang who was stunned. Yes. Chapter 1309. That's right. He lost to my ancestor. But he's not dead. Qin Feiyang said. Not dead. Gongsun Bei was surprised. Yes. He's still alive and well. He's hiding in the great Qin Empire. Qin Feiyang nodded. Do you know where he's hiding? Gongsun Bei asked. Yes. We're still in a cooperative relationship now. Qin Feiyang faintly smiled. You're cooperating with him? Gongsun Bei was dumbfounded. As a descendant of the Qin Emperor, he was actually cooperating with the Qin Emperor's mortal enemy? Was this kid crazy? Don't think too much. Although we're in a cooperative relationship, we're just using each other to get what we need. Qin Feiyang said. Even so, it's still too risky. You're asking a tiger for its skin. If you're not careful, you'll be eaten by him. Gongsun Bei was speechless. Even if he wants to eat me now, his stomach won't be able to hold it. Qin Feiyang sneered. Why do you say that? Gongsun Bei was puzzled. Although my ancestor didn't kill him back then, his soul was shattered and his vitality was greatly damaged. His current strength is probably less than 1% of his peak strength. Qin Feiyang said. So that's how it is. Gongsun Bei was relieved and smiled. If that's the case, then we can still act according to the original plan. The original plan? Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at Gongsun Bei strangely. Don't tell me you're going to change the plan after hearing that Mu Tianyang is still alive. Gongsun Bei smiled bitterly and didn't deny it. After all, Mu Tianyang is a true god of war. My chief pagoda can't afford to offend him. Qin Feiyang was helpless. How much do you know about Mu Tianyang? I just heard it from the chief pagoda master. How much can I know? I just didn't expect the Mu family to be a descendant of Mu Tianyang. Gongsun Bei sighed. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. Does the chief know the details of the Mu Jia? Is there even a need to ask? He definitely doesn't know. Although the chief tower master is somewhat selfish, I know that he cares about the safety of the Forgotten Continent more than anyone else. To put it bluntly, he cares about power and influence. He won't let anyone threaten his position. So, if he knew, he definitely wouldn't allow the Mu family to remain in the Forgotten Continent. Gongsun Bei said. Qin Feiyang nodded. That's right. Even though he hadn't known the chief tower master for long, he still had a good grasp of the latter's personality. If someone really threatened his position, he would find a way to get rid of them immediately. Furthermore, if the chief pagoda master really knew about it, he wouldn't let go of a good opportunity to extort the Mu Jia, such as the potential pill. However, even young Master Hao hadn't been able to unlock his potential before he had met him. From this, it could be seen that the chief pagoda master was indeed unaware. These damned bastards, they actually deceived us for so many years. This time, we must catch them all in one fell swoop. Gongsun Bei coldly harumphed, his hands tightly clenched, killing intent surging in his eyes. Only today did he know that the Mu family was originally using the Forgotten Continent to rest and build up strength, waiting for Mu Tianyang's return. Lu Zheng indifferently glanced at him. Then now, are you still going to deny my words? Gongsun Bei was stunned, then bitterly smiled. Even though they have unlocked their potential, but to be able to cultivate to the level of a 3-star combat emperor in such a short period of time, they can't be considered idiots. Their talent is still not bad. TCH. Lu Zheng disdainfully raised his middle finger. Qin Feiyang sized up the two black-clothed youths. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, he turned his head to look at Gongsun Bei. Oh right, why did the chief tower master take in the Mu family? If you say that he was kind enough to take them in, I really don't believe it. Because the chief tower master wasn't that kind of person. This, I really don't know. A few times, I've asked him indirectly, but the chief tower master has always been secretive and unwilling to answer directly. Gongsun Bei said. Qin Feiyang frowned. It seemed that there was some kind of unknown benefit relationship between them. Boom. Crack. The battle between the two black-clothed youths and the Black Hawk had reached its climax. The Black Hawk was a 4-star combat emperor beast. Even though it was a minor realm higher than the two youths, both of them had mastered several perfect battle arts. Therefore, the Black Hawk was gradually losing. Qin Feiyang asked, what are their names? Mu Sheng, Mu Xing, Gongsun Bei said. Qin Feiyang said, not only do you know their names, but you also know their cultivation base. Looks like you're quite concerned about the Mu family. Gongsun Bei said, to tell you the truth, I've been monitoring the Mu family all these years. Qin Feiyang was startled, then smiled. Then, what did brother Gongsun find out? Gongsun Bei shook his head and smiled, I'm not afraid of you laughing at me. Even though I've been monitoring them all these years, I've only managed to sneak into the Mu family's base once, and I was almost discovered in the end. Qin Feiyang smiled. This wasn't out of his expectations. Who was the Mu family? There would definitely be experts guarding the entrance. It would be harder than ascending to the heavens to sneak in. Even though Gongsun Bei had only managed to sneak in once, it was already very rare. Qin Feiyang looked at the two black-clothed youths again with a trace of suspicion in his eyes. Why were these two fighting the Black Hawk? Training? However, there were countless ferocious beasts that were more powerful than the Black Hawk. Training here was definitely not a wise thing to do. Mu Xing, we can't delay any longer. Otherwise, we'll attract those powerful 9-star combat emperor beasts. Quickly, use your full strength. Mu Xing suddenly shouted. Mu Xing nodded. Boom! Both of their bodies shook as they activated their fighting souls at the same time. Both of their fighting souls were humanoid fighting souls. They were more than 100 feet tall and emitted a monstrous murderous aura. However, their bodies were shrouded in black mist, and their true appearance could not be seen clearly. Kill! Both of them shouted. The two humanoid fighting souls raised their giant hands and slapped at the Black Hawk. The Black Hawk knew that it was no match for them, so it turned around and fled. However, the two fighting souls were extremely fast and arrived in an instant. Chirp! Accompanied by a wail, the Black Hawk's huge body was immediately split into 4 or 5 pieces. Blood stained the sky. After killing the Black Hawk, the two of them immediately broke through the sky and left. Lu Jing said, "Follow them." Qin Feiyang nodded and led Lu Zheng and Gongsun Bei behind the two of them silently. Soon, an inconspicuous small valley entered their line of sight. Mu Sheng and Gongsun Bei directly rushed into the small valley. Qin Feiyang and the other two followed behind. The small valley was only about 100 feet wide and was covered with weeds and shrubs. It looked extremely desolate. What are they doing here? This doesn't look like a place with treasures. Lu Jing frowned. There's the Black Hawk's aura here. This means that this is the Black Hawk's nest. Qin Feiyang muttered. There was a saying that one could not judge a book by its cover. Sometimes, the more inconspicuous a place was, the more likely it was to have treasures. At this moment, Mu Xing and Gongsun Bei were walking towards a shrub on the right side of the valley. The closer they got to the shrub, the more excited they became. It was as if there was a treasure hidden in the shrub. Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other and flew over silently. They lowered their heads and scanned the shrub. This shrub was no different from an ordinary shrub. The ground was a little damp and covered with a thick layer of dead branches and rotten leaves. It emitted a rotten smell. And within the shrub, there was a strange grass. This grass was only as long as a finger and had 3 slender leaves. The reason why it was strange was that this grass was completely black and emitted a cold aura. What's this? Gongsun Bei was suspicious. This was the first time he had seen such a strange grass. At this moment, Mu Xing and Gongsun Bei also came to the shrub and locked their eyes on the black grass. The excitement on their faces could not be concealed. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and then looked at the black grass again. His eyes were full of doubts. He was sure that he had never seen this grass before, but for some reason, he felt a sense of familiarity. This is the dark Yin grass. Lu Jing suddenly transmitted his voice. Dark Yin grass. Qin Feiyang was stunned and turned to look at Lu Jing. He found that Lu Jing was looking at the dark Yin grass with greed in his eyes. Wait a minute. Dark Yin grass. Why did this name sound so familiar? Suddenly, his eyes trembled and looked at the dark Yin grass again. His eyes were shining. Wasn't the dark Yin grass one of the herbs in the Great Creation Pill? Moreover, if he remembered correctly, it was one of the most important herbs. He was excited. He did not expect to encounter such a treasure on the way. The most important herbs of the Great Creation Pill were the creation fruit, white jade fruit, purple spirit flower, dark yang grass, and dark yin grass. The dark yin grass was ranked 5th. It could be seen how rare it was. The dark yin grass is rare in the world. When we hand it to the family head, we will definitely be able to exchange it for a generous reward. Mu Xing and Gongsun Bei cleared the shrub happily and squatted beside the dark green grass. They took out their daggers and started digging. I'm afraid you won't have the chance to get this reward. But at this moment, there was a laugh. Who is it? The two of them were shocked. They looked up and scanned their surroundings. They didn't notice that there was someone else hiding here. Swish! Qin Feiyang and the others appeared. What? Qin Feiyang. Gongsun Bei. The two's face changed. Qin Feiyang joked, "Are you surprised? Aren't you in the great Qin Empire? When did you come to Forgotten Continent?" The two were shocked. 8 days ago. Qin Feiyang said. Then what are you doing here? The two were surprised. Qin Feiyang grinned, "Of course I'm here for your Mu family. Damn it. Let's go." The two secretly cursed and turned around to escape. Gongsun Bei hurriedly said, "Don't let them escape." Once the two escaped, the Mu family would know that their tower has joined forces with Qin Feiyang. At that time, they would be prepared in advance. Don't worry, they can't escape. Qin Feiyang chuckled and glanced at the seal and seahorse lying on his shoulder. He said, "What are you still doing lying there? Go and deal with them." Yes. The two beasts lazily responded and left Qin Feiyang's shoulder and flew towards Mu Xing and Gongsun Bei. To be honest, they weren't interested in such a small fish at all. They couldn't raise their spirits at all. Ah! There was no suspense. Chapter 13:10. Boring. Boring. The two beasts returned to Qin Feiyang's shoulder and said uninterestedly. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Don't worry, you'll have a chance to show off soon. After that, Qin Feiyang took out Chang Shui and uprooted the Xianing grass. Seeing this, Lu Zheng hurriedly grabbed Qin Feiyang's wrist and asked, "Little cousin, you're not going to take it for yourself, are you?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. He looked up at Lu Zheng and said, "You want a share?" Nonsense. I've never heard of it. Everyone who sees it gets a share. Lu Zheng snorted. Sorry, I've never heard of it. Qin Feiyang smiled and put away Chang Shui and the Xianing grass. You, Lu Zheng stared at Qin Feiyang angrily. Such a rare treasure was hard to come by in 100 years. He didn't even give him a leaf. It was too much. Gongsun Bei looked at the two suspiciously and asked curiously, "What's the use of this Xianing grass? It looks good." Lu Zheng glanced at Gongsun Bei indifferently and then turned to search the valley. Gongsun Bei's face suddenly twitched. What is he looking for? Seahorse looked at Lu Zheng and asked Qin Feiyang secretly. If I remember correctly, it is recorded in the pill scripture that yin and yang exist together. Where there is Xianing grass, there must be Xianing grass. I think he must be looking for Xianing grass. Qin Feiyang said secretly. Hearing this, the two beasts suddenly became spirited and said secretly, "What does Xianing grass look like?" It's similar to Xianing grass, but the color is different. Xianing grass is as black as ink, while Xianing grass is as red as fire. Qin Feiyang said. Look for it. Don't let them get it. Seahorse said secretly. The two beasts immediately flew out and began to search the valley. Qin Feiyang glanced around and also stepped forward to search carefully. What's the situation? Gongsun Bei looked at them suspiciously. Bastard brat, how dare you take the profound yin grass for yourself? Wait till I find the profound yang grass, I won't share it with you. Lu Zheng glanced at Qin Feiyang and the two seals. He snorted inwardly and quickened his pace. His eyes swept around, not missing a single spot. Suddenly, he stopped and looked up at the cliff on his left. On the cliff a dozen meters above the ground, there was a half-meter wide crack, and within the crack, there was an imperceptible flame. Whoosh! He hurriedly flew up and saw a fiery red blade of grass in the crack. The shape of the grass was almost exactly the same as the profoundine grass. The 3 leaves looked as if they were cast from lava, emitting a crimson luster. Found it. Lu Zheng was overjoyed and was about to grab it. Whoosh! But just then, the seal and seahorse flashed across the sky like lightning and swept behind Lu Zheng. Get out of the way. Seahorse raised its hoof and kicked Lu Zheng's butt. Ow! Lu Zheng immediately let out a miserable howl like a pig being slaughtered. He covered his butt with both hands and flew into the sky like a meteorite. At the same time, the seal shrunk its body, swept into the crack, and pulled out the profound yang grass. You 2 bastards, I found it first. What right do you have to take it away? Seeing this, Lu Zheng was furious. He roared and rushed toward the 2 beasts, ignoring the pain in his butt. The 2 beasts laughed, turned into a stream of light, and landed on Qin Feiyang's shoulder. Here you go. The seal waved its paw and the profound yang grass fell into Qin Feiyang's hand. Not bad, not bad. This is the profound yang grass. Qin Feiyang chuckled. His face was blooming with joy. Little cousin, you've gone too far. Lu Zheng was furious. Who dares to barge into my Fire Phoenix mountain range? But suddenly, a cold voice came from afar. The 3 men and 2 beasts were shocked. They looked up and saw a white figure rushing toward them like lightning. It was a middle-aged man. He was 2 meters tall and muscular like a small giant. It's him. Gongsun Bei's eyes trembled. Who? Qin Feiyang asked. Gongsun Bei said in a deep voice, the guardian of the illusion, Mu Dahui. He has the cultivation of a 9-star combat emperor. Your cousin's roar must have alarmed him. 9-star combat emperor, Qin Feiyang murmured. His eyes flashed coldly and he said to the 2 beasts, you 2 hide and prepare to kill him in one blow. Piece of cake. The 2 beasts laughed sinisterly. Then, they disappeared into the underbrush below in an instant. Lu Zheng raised his eyebrows and also landed beside Qin Feiyang. Gongsun Bei also immediately rushed to Qin Feiyang's side. A 9-star combat emperor was not someone Mu Xing and the other 2 could compare to. If they were not careful, they would lose their lives. Whoosh! Finally, Mu Dahui came to the sky above the valley. Qin Feiyang said telepathically, hurry up and pretend to run away. After that, he immediately turned around and ran away in a panic. Lu Zheng and Gongsun Bei looked at each other suspiciously and also began to run away. Stop! Seeing the backs of Qin Feiyang and the other 2, Mu Dahui's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he shouted. The 3 of them stiffened and stopped. Qin Feiyang lowered his voice and changed it slightly. Senior, we didn't mean to break in here. Please have mercy. But the 3 of them did not turn around. Mu Dahui could still only see their backs. Mu Dahui glanced at Lu Zheng's back, then stared at Qin Feiyang and Gongsun Bei's backs. I feel that your backs are somewhat familiar. Turn around and let me see. This is the first time we have entered the Fire Phoenix mountain range. Senior must have mistaken us for someone else. Qin Feiyang said fearfully, but he still changed his voice. Don't talk nonsense. Turn around right now. Mu Dahui shouted, a cold light flashing in his eyes. This, Qin Feiyang was hesitant. It seems that I have to use some means to make you obedient. Mu Dahui smiled coldly. His emperor's aura poured out and instantly enveloped Qin Feiyang and the other 2. Then, he swooped down and landed behind Qin Feiyang and the other 2, reaching out to grab Qin Feiyang in Gongsun Bei's shoulders. Boom! However, at this moment, two terrifying auras erupted. The seahorse and the seal rushed out, their battle chi surging. Like two sharp arrows, they pierced through Mu Dahue's lower abdomen. Ah! A scream resounded through the sky. Mu Dahue immediately lay on the ground, clutching his lower abdomen, his face twisted in pain. Two fist-sized bloody holes penetrated his front and back, blood spurting out like a fountain. Lu Zheng and Gongsun Bei also suddenly realized. It turned out that Qin Feiyang pretended to escape in order to lure Mu Dahue. After all, everyone in the Mu family knew what Qin Feiyang looked like. They also knew Qin Feiyang's methods. If Mu Dahue saw Qin Feiyang's face in advance, he would definitely be vigilant. He might even turn around and run away. The seahorse and seal's ambush would naturally not succeed. Boss Qin, what do you think? Aren't we awesome? The seahorse and seahorse glanced at Mu Dahue in disdain, then ran to Qin Feiyang to ask for a reward. Awesome. Qin Feiyang nodded and turned to look at Mu Dahue. This voice, Qin Feiyang did not change his voice this time. Mu Dahue suddenly felt that this voice was very familiar. He raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. When he saw Qin Feiyang's face, he could not help but tremble. How could it be him? Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang said playfully, your expression is exactly the same as Mu Xing and the others. You saw Mu Xing and Mu Xing. Mu Dahue was shocked. Of course. Qin Feiyang nodded. Where are they? What did you do to them? Mu Dahue said angrily. Do you still need to ask? They will definitely not have a good ending when they meet me, Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang laughed. You damned bastard. Everyone in the Mu family will not let you off. Mu Dahue roared. We should be the ones saying this. We will not let go of anyone in your Mu family. Gongsun Bei's eyes flashed with killing intent. Gongsun Bei. Mu Dahue's eyes trembled, and he said in a deep voice, you actually helped Qin Feiyang. Are you not afraid of the Chief Tower's blame? Gongsun Bei sneered, sorry, but it was the Chief Tower's order to join hands with Qin Feiyang. What? Mu Dahue's face was filled with disbelief. The Chief Tower had joined hands with Qin Feiyang. Damn it! How could this be? How did Qin Feiyang convince the Chief Pagoda Master? Mu Dahue roared, did you forget that it was Qin Feiyang who stole your divine crystals? Stop pretending. Isn't your Mu family also eyeing the divine crystals? You despicable scum, even if you are cut into pieces, it will not be enough to relieve the hatred in my heart. Gongsun Bei's killing intent rose. Wait. Qin Feiyang reached out and stopped Gongsun Bei. What's wrong? Gongsun Bei looked at him in confusion. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice, let's kill him later. I have a few questions to ask him. Gongsun Bei nodded and thought to himself, then ask. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Mu Dahue, and his emperor's aura appeared, imprisoning Mu Dahue. Emperor's aura. Mu Dahue was shocked. He remembered that when Qin Feiyang left the Forgotten Continent, he was only a 4-star battle saint. How long had it been? He had already stepped into the Battle Emperor realm. This speed, even if he opened the door of potential, it was impossible to achieve. Just as Mu Dahue was shocked, Qin Feiyang formed a hand seal, and a slave seal appeared and swept toward Mu Dahue's head. This is, Mu Dahue's expression changed again. His first thought was to kill himself. Although he had never seen Qin Feiyang before, Qin Feiyang's deeds had long been spread in the family, and everyone knew about it. Therefore, he knew that this was a slave seal. However, imprisoned by Qin Feiyang's emperor's aura, he couldn't kill himself even if he wanted to. The slave seal sank into Mu Dahue's head and successfully controlled him. Qin Feiyang said, now answer me, how many false gods and 9-star battle emperors does your Mu family have? Other than the spacetime gate, do you have any other divine weapons? After asking this question, he secretly peeked at Mu Dahue's inner thoughts. Because he didn't expect Mu Dahue to answer him at all. Therefore, he used this method to get the answer he wanted to know. However, he found that after hearing his question, Mu Dahue's heart was like a dead sea, without any ripples. It seems that the people from the Mu family are as difficult to deal with as the people from the Zhuge family. It's basically impossible to get anything out of them. Chapter 13:11. However, he did not give up and continued, as long as you tell me the truth, I'll let you live. Do you think I'll believe your bullshit? Mu Dahue sneered. I swear in the name of my mother. You should know how important my mother is to me, so as long as you're willing to tell me, I won't go back on my word. Qin Feiyang said. In your dreams. Mu Dahue said. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists and said, then let me ask you again. Is there anyone from the Mu family in the Endless Ocean now? The Endless Ocean? Gongsun Bei was stunned. Why did Qin Feiyang ask this? Could it be that the mysterious madam was in the Endless Ocean? Mu Dahue said disdainfully, don't waste your breath. I won't say anything. If you want to kill me, do it. Phew. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. He said lightly, Brother Gongsun, deal with it as you see fit. Gongsun Bei's eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent. Gongsun Bei, let me tell you. You'll regret cooperating with Qin Feiyang sooner or later. Because no one in the main tower can beat him. Mu Dahue said contemptuously. You don't have to worry about that. Go repent in hell. Gongsun Bei waved his hand, and a wave of battle aura swept out like a sharp blade. Mu Dahue's head immediately fell to the ground, and blood spurted out a few meters away. Do you feel better now? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. How can I vent if I don't kill them all? Gongsun Bei smiled coldly. Qin Feiyang said, then let's go. What about this body? If the Mu family finds it, it won't be good for us. Gongsun Bei said worriedly. Don't worry. There are ferocious beasts everywhere here. Soon, not even a drop of blood will be left. Qin Feiyang laughed. Gongsun Bei nodded, and then continued to rush toward the mountain ridge with the 2 men and 2 beasts. On the way, everyone hid their aura and went around the 9-star monarch beasts. Along the way, there was no danger. Finally, the 3 humans and 2 beasts arrived at the foot of the mountain ridge. The mountains towered into the clouds, exuding a majestic aura. Mountain streams, towering ancient trees, and ferocious beasts. Moreover, they were basically 5-star to 8-star monarch beasts. There were also 9-star monarch beasts auras on the peaks of the mountain range. This place was like a dragon's lair or a tiger's den. A moment of carelessness and you would lose your little life. The entrance to the Mu family's lair is right there. Gongsun Bei pointed at one of the giant peaks. Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng raised their heads and looked over. They saw a giant mountain that was 50 to 60,000 feet high, like a giant sword that pierced the sky. That giant peak was also the highest peak in the mountain range. Follow me. Gongsun Bei said in a low voice and flew towards the mountain peak. However, he did not fly in the air. Because they were flying at high altitudes, they were a huge target and could easily be intercepted by 9-star monarch beasts. Along the way, Gongsun Bei also skillfully avoided one fierce beast after another. Obviously, he was extremely familiar with this place. A moment later, under Gongsun Bei's lead, the group finally reached the mountain peak. However, the moment they reached the mountain peak, both Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng's expressions changed. Their faces were filled with horror. As for the seahorse and the seal, they immediately turned around and fled in fear. Why are you running? Stop. Gongsun Bei shouted in a low voice. The seahorse said without turning its head, "Nonsense, there are so many 9-star monarch beasts. If we don't run, we'll be waiting for death." That's right. On this mountain peak, there were fierce beasts lying everywhere. The mountain peak was not big. There were rocks and weeds everywhere. However, between the weeds and rocks, there were at least 100 fierce beasts. There were all kinds of beasts. They were all closing their eyes and taking a nap. The aura they emitted was, without exception, that of a 9-star combat emperor. 109-star monarch beasts. What kind of concept was that? Once they were awakened, it could be described as apocalyptic. Qin Feiyang and Lu Jing also broke out in cold sweat. They were afraid that these fierce beasts would suddenly awaken. Gongsun Bei looked at the seahorse and seal helplessly and said, "They're not real." What? They're not real? The seahorse and seal were stunned. They turned around and glanced at the hundreds of 9-star monarch beasts. Whether it was their appearance or aura, they were extremely real. How could they be fake? The seal said warily, "We're still young. Don't fool us." "Why would I fool you?" Gongsun Bei rolled his eyes. He took a step forward and landed next to a fierce beast. He kicked it, and the fierce beast immediately disappeared from everyone's sight like a bubble. This, Qin Feiyang was stunned. Lu Jing was also stunned. The eyes of the seal and the seahorse almost popped out of their sockets. "This is the illusion I told you about," Gongsun Bei said. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other and landed on the top of the mountain one after another. They walked toward Gongsun Bei while looking at the fierce beasts around them in amazement. The seal imitated Gongsun Bei and raised its paw to slap a few fierce beasts. Those fierce beasts immediately collapsed and disappeared. Amazing. Looking at this scene, the seal couldn't help but marvel. Qin Feiyang walked in front of Gongsun Bei and shook his head. "I didn't expect the Mu family to set up such an illusion at the entrance. As you said, without someone to lead the way, it's really impossible to find the entrance." Lu Jing sighed. "Even if you can find it, seeing so many vivid 9-star monarch beasts, you'll definitely be scared witless like the seahorse and seal." Hearing this, the seal and seal were quite embarrassed. Qin Feiyang looked at the other peaks and asked, "Are the 9-star monarch beasts on those peaks also illusions?" "They're all real. Don't mess with them. Follow me." After Gongsun Bei finished speaking, he turned and walked toward the other side of the mountain peak. Qin Feiyang and the others quickly followed. Soon, they came to the edge of the cliff and entered their sight of a sea of clouds. The sea of clouds was bottomless and surrounded by clouds and mist, giving people an unfathomable sense of mystery. And within the sea of clouds, there were countless 9-star monarch beasts' auras. The group was looking curiously. Roar! Suddenly, in the distant sea of clouds, a fierce beast roared out. It was as huge as a mountain and exuded a monstrous divine power. Divine power. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. There was a divine beast here. Gongsun Bei, is the Mu family under the sea of clouds? Lu Jing asked, his eyes full of nervousness. The seahorse and seal were so scared that they hid behind Qin Feiyang, trembling. Gongsun Bei smiled. "Don't be nervous. The sea of clouds and the divine beast are also illusions." "What?" The 2 men and 2 beasts were shocked. "There are a total of 3 illusions here. The first illusion is these 9-star monarch beasts on the mountain peak, and the second illusion is the sea of clouds and the divine beast," Gongsun Bei said. The 2 men and 2 beasts looked at each other and shook their heads with a bitter smile. It turned out that they were just scaring themselves. The divine beast did not exist at all. Wait. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "We've seen the first and second layer of the illusion. Where is the third layer of the illusion? Gongsun Bei did not answer. Hide your aura and follow me. After speaking, he took the lead to hide his aura to the extreme and then stepped into the sky above the sea of clouds. The moment he stepped into the sky above the sea of clouds, Gongsun Bei disappeared from their sight. This, Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. This place is too strange. Hurry up and follow him. Don't get lost. Lu Zheng said. The two men and two beasts also hid their aura and stepped into the sky above the sea of clouds. They found that they had appeared in front of a canyon, and Gongsun Bei was standing next to them. The seahorse said in surprise, "Didn't we enter the sea of clouds? Why is it a canyon? Didn't you hear Gongsun Bei say that the sea of clouds is just an illusion? I think this canyon is the real thing." Lu Zheng said thoughtfully. The canyon was still surrounded by clouds and mist, giving it a mysterious feeling. Behind them, the mountain peak they were on before had disappeared and was replaced by clouds and mist. At this moment, it was as if they were standing in a fairyland. It was very unreal. Gongsun Bei said telepathically, "The third illusion is in this canyon." When they heard this, they immediately looked into the canyon and saw many beasts lying in the canyon. There was a giant python, a poisonous scorpion, a fierce tiger, and a dragon. In short, all the beasts they had seen before were here. The most shocking part was that all of them were actually ninth star emperor beasts. Needless to say, they must be fake too. The seahorse smiled and strode into the canyon. However, as soon as the seahorse took its first step, Gongsun Bei pulled it back and said, "Do you want to die?" "Why?" The seahorse looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang, Lu Zheng, and the seal also looked at Gongsun Bei in confusion. "Do you know why I asked you to hide your aura?" "Because the beasts in this canyon are not all illusions. Some of them are real. If we don't hide our aura, we will be discovered as soon as we appear," Gongsun Bei said in a deep voice. Hearing this, the seahorse immediately jumped behind Qin Feiyang like a frightened rabbit. "According to my investigation, there are at least 10 nine-star emperor beasts in these illusions. They are here to guard the canyon. And at the end of the canyon is the Mu clan's nest," Gongsun Bei said. Lu Zheng raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, 10 nine-star emperor beasts are nothing, but if they are alarmed, it is equivalent to alarm the entire Mu clan. We still haven't figured out the Mu clan's background, so we can't be discovered by them. "Yes, we can't be discovered by them." Qin Feiyang nodded, pondered for a moment, and said, "Let's go to the castle." After saying that, he waved his hand, and the group suddenly disappeared. Not long after the group of people disappeared, a blood-red falcon flew out of the canyon like lightning and scanned the surroundings suspiciously. "Strange. I clearly felt that someone broke in just now. Why is there not even a shadow now? Could it be an illusion?" The falcon muttered, looked around carefully, and then turned back to the canyon. "That was close. Fortunately, we came to the castle. Otherwise, we would have been caught red-handed." Inside the castle, looking at the falcon that disappeared in the picture, Gongsun Bei was scared. Then, he turned his head to look at the castle and said in surprise, "Is this the spatial divine item that you are hiding in?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Then, he piloted the ancient castle and flew into the canyon. Chapter 13:12. Inside the canyon. There were all kinds of beasts that looked very real. Some were lying on the ground and taking a nap. Some were looking around with disdain and majesty. It was impossible to tell which one was real and which one was fake. What's going on? There are only these few people in the castle. At the same time, Gongsun Bei glanced at Viper, Dan Wangkai, Wang Xiaojie, Black Dragon Snake, and the other beasts. His eyes were full of suspicion. Was this Qin Feiyang's foundation? He originally thought that since Qin Feiyang was so arrogant in front of the chief tower master, there must be a large number of experts hidden in the castle. However, he did not expect that there were only these few people. Moreover, their strength was not that great. In other words, apart from the two 9-star emperor beasts, the seahorse and the seal, Qin Feiyang did not have any powerful experts around him. This kid had been pretending to be mysterious. However, he's quite good at pretending. Even the chief tower master and I were fooled by him. Gongsun Bei muttered to himself as he pursed his lips in self-mockery. However, he did not know that Qin Feiyang's true foundation was not in the castle, but in the tower. Wait! Gongsun Bei suddenly looked at Viper and Dan Wangkai. Both of them had their backs facing Gongsun Bei, but their backs were familiar to Gongsun Bei. Gongsun Bei asked suspiciously, "You too, have I seen you somewhere before?" Qin Feiyang unnoticeably raised his eyebrows. This was what he was worried about. If Gongsun Bei recognized Dan Wangkai and Viper, he would know that Wang Zicheng and the others were lying. Wang Zicheng and the others were now in the chief tower. They were his spies in the chief tower and could not be suspected by Gongsun Bei. It was also because he considered the safety of Wang Zicheng and the others that he did not bring Gongsun Bei into the castle even though it was very dangerous. "Have we seen each other before?" Dan Wangkai suddenly spoke, but his voice was hoarse. As he spoke, Dan Wangkai turned his head to look at Gongsun Bei. However, when he saw Dan Wangkai's current appearance, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a smile. It was an extremely old face, covered with dry wrinkles. He then looked at Viper. Viper also turned his head. His appearance had also changed. He was now a sickly middle-aged man. "You've changed your appearance so quickly. You guys are pretty smart." Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. Of course. Adaptability is the strength of the Qinghai 10 heroes. Viper smiled proudly. Then, he looked at Gongsun Bei and asked suspiciously, "Are you sure we've met before?" Gongsun Bei glanced at the two of them and smiled bitterly. He clasped his hands and said, "I mistook you for someone else. Sorry." The two of them smiled inwardly, turned around, and continued to cultivate with their eyes closed. Qin Feiyang also turned his head to look at the situation in the canyon as he flew towards the end of the canyon. The canyon was not wide, but it was very long. It was like a giant python, winding and stretching to the end of the sky. About a few hundred breaths later, the castle crossed the canyon and finally came to the end. What entered the picture was still a sea of clouds. White clouds rolled, and fog lingered. It was like a fairyland. More than 10 miles ahead, above the sea of clouds, there was a behemoth floating. What the hell is that? Is it an illusion? Lu Zheng looked at the behemoth, dumbfounded. Qin Feiyang was also in disbelief. It was actually a city. The city was very big, about a few hundred miles in diameter. In the city, there were majestic buildings, wide streets, rolling mountains, and all kinds of birds and auspicious beasts flying above the city. It was like a continent floating in the void. Every brick, tile, grass, and tree was full of a mysterious color. What you see now is not an illusion. That city is the Mu family's nest. Gongsun Bei stared at the city, his eyes flashing coldly. "I didn't expect them to live in such a place." Qin Feiyang murmured. What was the difference between this place and fairyland? Clouds lingered, auspicious beasts flew. These people really knew how to enjoy life. Gongsun Bei said, "Although we found this place, there is still a problem." "What problem?" Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. The Mu family set up an invisible barrier around the city. If you want to enter the city, you first have to find a way to pass through this barrier. Gongsun Bei said. Divine barrier? Qin Feiyang's heart skipped a beat as he glanced at the void in front of the city. Haven't you been here before? You should know how to break this barrier, right? Lu Zheng looked at Gongsun Bei. Do you see that man? Gongsun Bei pointed at the edge of the city. Qin Feiyang looked over and saw a 10-meter-tall stone pillar at the edge of the city. A black-haired old man in a green robe sat cross-legged at the top of the stone pillar, resting with his eyes closed. Gongsun Bei said, "His name is Mu Yuan, the first butler of the Mu family. He is responsible for guarding the barrier. Anyone who wants to enter the city has to go through him." The first butler? Then isn't he an antique? Lu Zheng said. Yes. He has been here since the Mu family first came to the Forgotten Continent. Although he is only the butler of the Mu family, he has great prestige in the Mu family. Even the patriarchs of the family are very polite to him. Moreover, his cultivation is extremely terrifying. He is at the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm. When I first snuck in here, he was the one who almost discovered me. Gongsun Bei said in a deep voice. The peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm. Then he is a difficult opponent. Qin Feiyang muttered. Suddenly, he turned his head to look at Gongsun Bei and said, "The Mu family is so heavily guarded. How did you manage to sneak in here? I am really curious. How did you do it? Why do you have to expose a secret that no one wants to talk about?" Gongsun Bei laughed and said. I was rude. Qin Feiyang smiled apologetically. He turned his head to look at Mu Yuan on the screen. His eyes flickered. Suddenly, he turned his head to look at Viper and said with a smile, "It seems that I need you to enter the city." Viper was stunned. He stood up and said, "Young master, please tell me." Qin Feiyang said, "Your cultivation is the same as Mu Xing in Mu Sheng. You are all 3-star combat emperors. You can disguise yourself as one of them and sneak in." Okay. Viper nodded. He took an illusion pill and disguised himself as Mu Xing. Then, he found a set of clothes similar to Mu Xing's and put it on. This method won't work. However, at this moment, Gongsun Bei shook his head and said. Why? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Because Mu Yuan is a very cautious person. Even if the chief tower lord came to visit the Mu family, or if the Mu family's people came back from running errands, they would first use the Heaven's Eye stone to verify their identity. Gongsun Bei said. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel angry. There were 3 layers of illusions outside. Was there a need to be so cautious? It can be said that for the past 10,000 years, the Mu family's base has never been discovered. It is all because of this Mu Yuan. Gongsun Bei sighed. This is really a difficult problem. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. If there was no divine force barrier, it wouldn't be a problem. He could easily sneak in. But now, even the ancient castle couldn't be used. What should he do? Lu Zheng's eyes flickered. He suddenly said, I think we can only take a risk now. What risk? Qin Feiyang and Gongsun Bei looked at him suspiciously. Lu Zheng pointed to Viper and said, he will use the identity of Mu Xing to tell Mu Yuan that Mu Dahue is missing. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He nodded and said, this method is feasible. Immediately, he looked at Viper and the others who were suspicious and said, think about it. When Mu Yuan learns that Mu Dahue is missing, how will he react? Viper thought for a moment and said, he will definitely be shocked and immediately go to the top of the mountain to check. That's right. When such a thing happens, the first thing he will think of is to check the situation, not to verify your identity. And if he wants to go to the top of the mountain, he will first have to open the divine force barrier, and I can take the opportunity to control the ancient castle and sneak into the city. But this way, there will be a big problem. Qin Feiyang frowned. What problem? Viper asked. When we leave the city, it will be troublesome. And during the time we enter the city, you can't go with us. Because when Mu Yuan confirms that Mu Dahue is missing, he will definitely ask you about the situation. And if he can't find you, he will definitely be suspicious. So, this is a very dangerous thing for you. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Viper pondered for a moment, gritted his teeth and said, I'm not afraid. I believe that I can deal with it. Are you sure? Qin Feiyang frowned. Although Viper had not been with him as long as White-Eyed Wolf and Fatso, he had long regarded Viper as a family. Frankly speaking, he really did not want Viper to take the risk. I'm sure. Viper nodded. All right. Be careful. Also, I'll give you Chang Shui. It will definitely help you at a critical moment. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he took out Chang Shui and handed it to Viper. Viper was stunned. After following Qin Feiyang for so long, he naturally knew how important Chang Shui was to Qin Feiyang. Normally, he would never give it to anyone. But now, he was actually giving it to him. After regaining his senses, he quickly waved his hand and said, Young master, you can't do this. Chang Shui is the only thing your mother left for you. I'm afraid, but before he could finish, Qin Feiyang smiled and said, You're afraid that I'll lose it? Viper did not deny it. Since you're afraid, then live well. After we meet, you can personally return it to me. Qin Feiyang smiled and said. Viper was a little flattered. Since Qin Feiyang gave him Chang Shui, it proved that he trusted him 100%. However, Chang Shui was too important. He was afraid that he could not bear Qin Feiyang's trust. Take it. Don't dawdle. If I hadn't broken through to become a 4-star combat emperor, you wouldn't have a share. Dan Wangkai said disdainfully. Ever since the time rule in the ancient castle changed, Dan Wangkai and Viper had been cultivating. Hence, their cultivation had undergone a huge change. Phew. Viper glanced at Dan Wangkai and took a deep breath. He knelt on one knee and received Chang Shui with both hands. He said solemnly, Young master, don't worry. I will protect Chang Shui with my life. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Then, he drove the ancient castle back the way he came. Chapter 13:13. Soon. The castle arrived at the entrance of the canyon. Be careful. Qin Feiyang warned again. Viper nodded and looked at Gong Sun Bei, asking, Do you know what the Mu family's disciples call Mu Yuan and Mu Dahue? Uncle Yuan. Uncle Hui. Gong Sun Bei said. Send me out. Viper looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and Viper immediately appeared at the entrance of the canyon. Looking at the quiet canyon, Viper let out a long breath and turned into a stream of light, rushing into the canyon. Qin Feiyang also drove the castle and followed beside Viper, just in case. Chirp. Not long after entering the canyon, the bloody falcon suddenly rushed out and blocked in front of Viper. But when it saw Viper's face, it quickly retreated to the side. When it passed by the bloody falcon, Viper nodded at it in a friendly manner. Not long after. Viper panted as he rushed out of the canyon, heading straight for Mu Yuan. Whoosh! At the same time, Mu Yuan suddenly opened his eyes and 2 sharp lights burst out. But when he looked at Viper, the sharp light in his eyes quickly disappeared. How is it? Did you find any valuable herbs? And Mu Xing? Why didn't he come back with you? Mu Yuan asked with a smile. Uncle Yuan, we'll talk about this later. Now I have a very important matter to report to you. Viper stopped outside the divine power enchantment and looked at Mu Yuan as he gasped for breath. Mu Yuan was slightly stunned and frowned. What important matter is it that made you so anxious? Uncle Hui is missing. Viper exclaimed. What? Mu Yuan's face immediately changed and he stood up, saying, What happened? Tell me. Not long ago, Mu Sheng and I were looking for herbs, but we suddenly heard the sound of fighting at the entrance. I hurried over to check and found that Uncle Hui was missing. Viper said. Fighting, Mu Yuan's eyes trembled and said, could it be that some fierce beast accidentally broke into the entrance? I don't know either. Anyway, I've searched the area near the entrance, but I didn't see any trace of Uncle Hui. Viper shook his head. Mu Yuan's face darkened. Uncle Yuan, do you think something will happen to Uncle Hui? Snake asked worriedly. Mu Yuan raised his head to look at Viper and said in a deep voice, don't panic, this old man will go and take a look personally. After saying that, he took out a golden badge from his chest and pressed it against the void of space. Whine. In the void in front of him, a golden light screen suddenly appeared. The golden token was embedded in the light screen, and a door of light appeared. Now, inside the castle, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He immediately drove the castle into the light gate. Mu Yuan also put away the token and walked out of the light door. It could be said that the castle and Mu Yuan had almost brushed past each other. After the light door closed, Mu Yuan looked at Viper and said, let's go. Viper glanced at the sky above the city as a glint flashed across his eyes. He then followed behind Mu Yuan and flew towards the entrance. Please don't let anything happen to him. Qin Feiyang looked at Viper's back and muttered. He then drove the castle into the depths of the city. Inside the city, the streets and alleys were filled with people. Not all of them were cultivators here. There were many mortals. After all, the ingredients for the potential pill were too rare. It was impossible to take care of everyone. And the good resources were naturally given to those talented disciples. Qin Feiyang scanned the huge city and asked, Brother Gongsun, are you familiar with the situation in the city? Gongsun Bei shook his head. Then it seems that I have to catch someone and ask. Qin Feiyang muttered as he drove the castle. As he sped along, he searched for a target. This target had to be someone who was timid and afraid of trouble, but at the same time, had a certain level of cultivation. Because ordinary mortals wouldn't know too much. A moment later, he drove the castle into a small alley. In the alley, there were more than 10 young men and women. They were surrounding a skinny black-clothed youth. That black-clothed youth had the strength of a 9-star battle king. As for the young men and women surrounding him, the weakest one was a 1-star battle emperor. One of the purple-clothed youth was about 20 years old. He looked at the black-clothed youth in an overbearing manner and shouted, Mu Chen, I'll give you one more chance. Give me the white jade fruit immediately. White jade fruit. Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled as he looked at the black-clothed youth in the image. This person actually had the white jade fruit. As for the youth named Mu Chen, he looked at the purple-clothed youth and said, I really don't have the white jade fruit. Can you believe me? You don't have it? Do you think we're fools? I saw with my own eyes that you found a white jade fruit tree in the training ground. And you, not only did you pluck all the white jade fruit, you even dug out the tree. If I'm not wrong, you should be planning to give the white jade fruit tree to the patriarch to receive a reward. Beside the purple-clothed youth, there was a white-clothed girl. She looked at Mu Chen with a cold smile. You must be seeing things. During this period of time, I didn't even go to the training ground. Mu Chen hurriedly said, but he looked a little flustered. Obviously, he was lying. Stubborn. Beat him up. I'll take responsibility for his death or disability. The purple-clothed youth roared. Hearing this, a few young men at the side immediately stepped forward and started to punch and kick Mu Chen. Stop beating me. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Mu Chen wailed. Stop. The purple-clothed youth waved his hand. Trash. You should have handed it over earlier. Why did you have to force us to beat you? The youths looked at Mu Chen with disdain and retreated to the side. One of them was even more outrageous. He even spat on Mu Chen's face. Mu Chen awkwardly got up. He glanced at the group of people and took out the Cosmos bag. "Give me the Cosmos bag." The purple-clothed youth stretched out his hand in front of Mu Chen. His attitude was very domineering. Mu Chen's face immediately turned pale. In the Cosmos bag, there were not only the white jade fruit tree and the white jade fruit tree, but also all his belongings. "Didn't you hear? Give it to me now." The purple-clothed youth shouted. Mu Chen's gaze trembled. He quickly handed the Cosmos bag to the purple-clothed youth with both hands. The purple-clothed youth smiled proudly. He grabbed the Cosmos bag and looked at Mu Chen with disdain. "You want to fight with me? You're really overestimating yourself. Continue to beat him. Let him know the price of angering me." As soon as he finished speaking, the youths next to him swarmed up and beat Mu Chen crazily. "You can't do this, I've already given you the Cosmos bag. What else do you want?" Mu Chen roared again and again. His face was distorted by the pain. The purple-clothed youth looked at him contemptuously and lowered his head to check the Cosmos bag. Soon, his eyes were full of greed. He looked at the white-clothed woman next to him and smiled. "The white jade fruit tree and the white jade fruit tree are really inside." Hearing this, the white-clothed woman immediately beamed with joy. Whoosh! However, at this moment, the group of people only saw a blur in front of them. The next moment, they were shocked to find that they had appeared in a strange stone room. "What's going on? Where is this? How did we get in?" The group of people turned pale with fright. Hearing the voices of the purple-clothed youth and the others, Mu Chen raised his head suspiciously. His face was suddenly full of surprise. "Welcome to my castle." A hearty laugh suddenly sounded from behind them. The group of people suddenly quivered and quickly turned around. They saw a white-clothed youth with his hands behind his back, looking at them with ridicule. "You are," the purple-clothed youth looked at the white-clothed youth in surprise. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, his face suddenly changed and he said in surprise, "You're Qin Feiyang. It seems that I'm quite popular in your Mu family. Otherwise, not everyone would know me." Qin Feiyang said playfully. "It's really Qin Feiyang. Why are you here?" The group of people suddenly panicked. Mu Chen curled up in a ball and trembled. Why was he so unlucky today? First, his Cosmos bag was stolen. Now, he met this fiend. Qin Feiyang. Who in the world didn't know of this lawless and terrifying existence? Who didn't know of it? Encountering him was equivalent to encountering the Grim Reaper. Qin Feiyang glanced at the group of people and then looked at Mu Chen. Finally, his eyes locked on the purple-clothed youth and he said, "You looked quite impressive just now." Plop! The purple-clothed youth's legs went soft. He directly knelt on the ground and begged, "Qin Dage, you and I have no enmity. Please don't kill me." The others also quickly knelt down in fear. He knelt down just like that. Humph, what a trash who bullies the weak and fears the strong. Lu Jing despised. Isn't this the kind of person we're looking for? Qin Feiyang chuckled and looked at the purple-clothed youth and said, "I can spare your life, but it depends on your performance. Speak. As long as I know, I will tell you everything I know, without reserve." The purple-clothed youth nodded repeatedly. "First, give me Mu Chen's Cosmos bag." Qin Feiyang said. "Yes, yes, yes." The purple-clothed youth hurriedly handed it over. Qin Feiyang grabbed it in his hand and threw it to Dan Wangkai, saying, "See if there are any white jade fruits." After Dan Wangkai caught the Cosmos bag, he immediately lowered his head to check. His eyes shone with green light. Soon, Dan Wangkai looked up at Qin Feiyang and nodded. There are 3 white jade fruits and a white jade fruit tree inside. Very good. Qin Feiyang smiled happily. Not only did he get a stalk of shening grass and shening grass, but he also got 3 white jade fruits. More importantly, there was a white jade fruit tree. With this white jade fruit tree, it meant that he would have an inexhaustible supply of white jade fruits in the future. This trip to the Mu family was really a big gain. Qin Feiyang looked down at the purple-clothed youth and said, "Now answer me, how many false gods do you have? How many 9-star combat emperors?" The purple-clothed youth's expression stiffened and he smiled bitterly. "I'm just a 2-star combat emperor, how would I know these things?" Qin Feiyang looked at the others. Everyone shook their heads, indicating that they didn't know. Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "Then where do your patriarch and your great ancestor live?" "I know this. Patriarch and great ancestor live in the sacred mountain." Chapter 13-14. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where is the sacred mountain?" 10 miles away from the south of the city, there is a mountain range. All the people above the war emperor are there. The purple-clothed youth said. Qin Feiyang controlled the ancient castle and flew above the city. With a wave of his hand, the image in front of him began to move. Soon, the image locked onto the south of the city. There was indeed a mountain range there. The mountain peaks towered into the clouds, imposing and majestic. And in the mountain stream, one could vaguely see a magnificent palace, exuding an ancient aura. Qin Feiyang glanced at the mountain range, then looked at the purple-clothed youth, and asked, "Where is the training ground?" The white jade fruit was found by Mu Chen in the training ground, which meant that there might be other treasures in the training ground. The training ground is outside the north of the city. It is a place for us ordinary disciples to train. The purple-clothed youth said. North of the city, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and the image in the air began to move again, locking onto the north of the city. Outside the city, there was a dense forest, covering an area of more than 100 miles, with ancient trees towering into the sky. Qin Feiyang asked, "Are there many treasures in the training ground? For example, treasures like the white jade fruit?" The training ground is mainly to train our combat ability and cultivate combat awareness. There are not many treasures. But if you are lucky, you can encounter some. The purple-clothed youth said. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and asked, "Is there anyone guarding the training ground?" "No." The purple-clothed youth shook his head. In fact, thinking about it, not only was there a 3-layer illusion at the entrance, even the city was protected by a divine barrier. It was impossible for outsiders to sneak in, and the training ground was not an important place. Why would there be a need for experts to guard it? Qin Feiyang's mind became active. Wait. There were not many treasures in the training ground. If he specifically asked people to find them, it would be a waste of time. It would be better, go directly to the Mu family's medicine field. The Mu family was isolated from the world and had mastered the alchemy scripture. They must have cultivated a medicine field. Moreover, after thousands of years of accumulation and precipitation, the Mu family's medicine field must be amazing. Where is your medicinal field? Qin Feiyang asked the purple-clothed youth. Herbal field? The purple-clothed youth was slightly taken aback. He shook his head and said, "I really don't know about this. I only know that it is indeed a medicinal field. What's the point of keeping you if you don't know anything?" With a wave of his hand, Lu Zheng sliced off the purple-clothed youth's neck, causing blood to gush out. Bang! The purple-clothed youth fell to the ground, dead. His eyes were filled with rage and fear before his death. Seeing this scene, the man called Mu Chen, the white-clothed woman and the others all turned deathly pale from fright. "We really don't know where the herbal field is. Qin Dage, please spare us. If you really want to know, you can go to the sacred mountain to take a look." Because the herb field is most likely to be in the sacred mountain. The group of people were terrified. Sacred mountain, Qin Feiyang murmured as killing intent flashed in his eyes. He turned to Dan Wankai and said, bring them to the ancient pagoda and finish them off. All right. Dan Wankai nodded his head. The group of people suddenly collapsed to the ground in despair. Two of them even peed in their pants. Ancient pagoda. Gong Sun Bei's eyes were filled with suspicion. Where is this place? Mu Chen suddenly said, Qin Dage, don't kill me. I know where the herbal field is. I can take you there. Qin Feiyang was stunned and turned to look at Mu Chen. Mu Chen said, I don't dare lie to you. I really know. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Dan Wankai, the white-clothed woman, and the purple-clothed youth's corpse instantly disappeared from the ancient castle. Then, Qin Feiyang looked at Mu Chen and said, tell me, where is the herbal field? Mu Chen said, the herbal field is not in the sacred mountain. It is deep in the mountains east of the city. How do you know? Qin Feiyang frowned. This person was only a 9-star battle king. In the entire Mu clan, he belonged to the lowest class. How could he know the location of the herbal field? There must be something fishy going on. Mu Chen said, I used to work as a waiter in a restaurant. I accidentally heard the young lord and a friend chatting. They happened to talk about the herbal field. Young lord? Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked, are you talking about Mu Qing? Yes. That's him. Mu Chen nodded, but when he mentioned Mu Qing, there was a trace of hatred in his eyes. However, Qin Feiyang was able to clearly sense that hatred. He suddenly showed a trace of curiosity and asked, is there any grudge between you and Mu Qing? Mu Chen was stunned and said in surprise, how do you know? Although you want to hide the hatred in your heart, you are still too young. When you mention Mu Qing, the hatred in your eyes can't be completely hidden. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Mu Chen's eyes trembled and bowed, seeing is better than hearing. Qin Dage is really the number one person among the younger generation. Mu Chen admires you. Qin Feiyang said, don't think that I will let you go just because you flatter me. Mu Chen said, I don't ask Qin Dage to let me go. I only ask Qin Dage to do me a favor and kill Mu Qing. He is the young lord of your Mu clan. You want to kill him? Why is that? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Since I was young, my family was poor. In order to eat and wear, I had to work as a waiter in a restaurant. But once, when I was walking, I accidentally bumped into him. Because of this, he actually destroyed my qi. And he even asked the restaurant owner to drive me out. I am the only child in my family. My parents put their hopes on me. Since I was young, in order to train me, they desperately went out to earn money. They even exchanged all the valuable things at home for elixirs for my cultivation. But because of an unintentional mistake, all of this went up in smoke. Of course, I was not convinced and went to the patriarch to reason with him. Mu Chen said angrily. And the result? Qin Feiyang asked. In the end, not only did the patriarch not see me, he even asked someone to drive me out. Coincidentally, I met Mu Qing at the door. He knew that I went to the patriarch to reason with him, so he flew into a rage out of humiliation. He forced me to take the disaster elixir and turned me into a real cripple. The most outrageous thing was that he even spread the word that no one was allowed to give me the marrow cleansing elixir. Mu Chen roared, his eyes were bloodshot. Disaster elixir, Qin Feiyang was a little surprised. Interesting, he said, continue. Later, when my parents learned about this, it was like a bolt from the blue. They were depressed all day. Not long after, they both died. I lost my cultivation and my parents. During that time, I drowned my sorrows in alcohol, feeling that there was no hope in life. In the end, I chose to kill myself. I went to the training ground because there were many fierce beasts there. For a cripple like me who had no cultivation, once I stepped into the training ground, it was like stepping into hell. But when I entered the training ground and was ready to die, a miracle happened. When Mu Qin said this, a bright light burst out from his eyes. What miracle? Lu Zheng was curious. I suddenly heard the sound of fighting nearby, so I curiously ran over to have a look. In the end, I found 2 3-star combat emperors fighting over a purple spirit flower. Mu Qin said. Purple spirit flower. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Not only was there the white jade fruit, but there was also the purple spirit flower. It seemed like the Mu family's nest was a big treasure. Lu Jing glanced at Qin Feiyang, then looked at Mu Qin and said, "Let me guess what happened next." The 2 3-star combat emperors fought over the purple spirit flower, and in the end, you got the purple spirit flower. And you took the purple spirit flower and exchanged it with someone for a marrow cleansing pill. From then on, you started your cultivation journey again. Lu Zheng said. You guessed the first part correctly. They did die together, and I also got the purple spirit flower. But I also got their Qinkuan pouches. And in their Qinkuan pouches, there were a lot of qi gathering pills, body tempering pills, battle qi pills, 2 marrow cleansing pills, and 3 potential pills. At that time, I knew that the heavens didn't want me to die, so I immediately used the marrow cleansing pill to expel the poison of the spiritual disaster pill. Later, I used these pills to cultivate desperately, and now I have finally recovered the cultivation of a 9-star combat emperor. Mu Qin said. Qin Feiyang asked, what was your cultivation before you were crippled? 8-star combat emperor. Mu Qin said. Not bad. Qin Feiyang smiled in surprise and said, what about the purple spirit flower? With the purple spirit flower, he could prepare to refine the great creation pill. This was because he had the most important herbs, the fruit of fortune, white jade fruit, dark yin grass, and dark yang grass. He only lacked the purple spirit flower. As for the other herbs, they were already made. I gave the purple spirit flower to Mu Qin. Although Mu Qin and I have a deep hatred, I know that I can only be reborn by pleasing him. Mu Qin said. You're quite smart. As the young master of the Mu family, Mu Qin has a high position and power. Even if you got the marrow cleansing pill, he could force you to take the spiritual disaster pill again. Qin Feiyang said. Yes. When I gave him the purple spirit flower, he was very happy and never came to find trouble with me again. He even took care of me. On the surface, I also flattered him and said that I had forgotten my hatred, but secretly, I had been looking for opportunities. But I was too weak. In front of him, I couldn't find a chance at all. Mu Qin laughed at himself. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, I didn't expect this guy to have such a side. This is a little different from the Mu Qin I know. Speaking of which, during that time, he was indeed different. In the past, he was very good and rarely got angry, but during that time, his temper was very bad, and he would fight without saying a word. Many of our clansmen have suffered losses at his hands, Qin Lai said. Mu Qin said. Qin Feiyang stared blankly and asked doubtfully, when? It seems to be, Mu Qin thought carefully and said, yes, it was the time when demon child ancestor died. Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned, then shook his head and smiled, saying, I understand. Of course, he remembered demon child. At that time, in Yan Wei's tribe, he did evil and was finally killed by the mysterious madam. It was also at that time that Mu Qin began to have a murderous intent towards him. If there was no accident, it must be because of the death of demon child that Mu Qin's temperament changed greatly, so he made a big fuss over such a small matter and destroyed Mu Qin's cultivation. In other words, at that time, Mu Qin was purely venting his anger on Mu Qin. Chapter 13-15. Because. If he hadn't found the mysterious lady to kill the demon child, then Mu Qin wouldn't have vented his anger on Mu Chen. This was just to prove the old saying, I didn't kill Boren, but Boren died because of me. It was just that Mu Chen was lucky and didn't die. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered, and suddenly there was a flash of light in his eyes. He looked at Mu Chen and said, I can help you get revenge, but you have to pay the price. No matter what the price is, I'm willing to pay it. Mu Chen said without hesitation. Qin Feiyang said, become my shadow and kill all those who come to offend me. This person's life experience was somewhat similar to his, so he couldn't help but feel compassion. Mu Chen's face changed. Becoming Qin Feiyang's shadow was equivalent to becoming a killing blade in Qin Feiyang's hand. In this way, wouldn't he be an enemy of the Mu family? Although he hated Mu Qin, hated the patriarch, and hated those who had bullied him, the blood of the Mu family flowed in his body after all. It was still difficult for him to give up the Mu family. I won't force you. Think about it yourself. But I can tell you very clearly that if you don't agree, even if I don't kill you today, you will never have a chance to take revenge on Mu Qin. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Mu Chen asked cautiously, if I don't agree, you really won't kill me? You don't think I'm such a kind person, do you? Qin Feiyang laughed. Mu Chen looked flustered and said with a wry smile, then do I have a choice? No. Either die or become a sharp blade in my hand. Qin Feiyang said. Mu Chen lowered his head, and his face was uncertain. You should be honored. You see, there are so many people around Qin Feiyang. Who is qualified to be his shadow? No one. You're the first. Lu Zheng said with an evil smile. Mu Chen glanced at Lu Zheng, then looked at Qin Feiyang. Finally, he gritted his teeth and knelt on one knee, respectfully saying, Mu Chen greets the Lord. Qin Feiyang smiled. What could be more interesting than using a descendant of the Mu family to deal with Mu Tianyang? I don't like the surname Mu. From now on, you will change your surname to Qin. You will be called Qin Chen. Qin Feiyang formed a seal with both of his hands and an enslavement seal appeared. It entered Mu Chen's head and quickly took control of Mu Chen's soul. Mu. Qin Chen greets the Lord. Mu Chen said respectfully. That was not right. Now, they were already calling him Qin Chen. Qin Feiyang nodded in satisfaction and glanced at Wang Xiaojie. Wait for me here. Suddenly. Qin Feiyang said to Lu Zheng and Gong Sunbei. Then, he led Qin Chen and Wang Xiaojie into the ancient tower and descended above the village. Wang Xiaojie looked at the village and asked suspiciously, Master, what are you doing? Qin Chen, on the other hand, looked around suspiciously. What was this place? Qin Feiyang did not answer and said loudly, Elder Wang, come out and see me. Swoosh! Before his voice faded, Wang Yangfeng rushed out of the village like lightning and landed in front of Qin Feiyang. He bowed and said, Greetings, young master. Qin Feiyang pointed at Qin Chen and Wang Xiaojie and said with a smile, These two people, I will leave them to you now. N. Wang Yangfeng looked at the two of them suspiciously and asked, Why are you leaving them to me? To train them. Just like how the Grand Valley Master and Grand Valley Master trained you. I want to see them reborn in the shortest time possible. Even if they know that they are going to die, they will not hesitate at all. Qin Feiyang said. Wang Xiaojie's expression changed. He grabbed Qin Feiyang's hand and said, Master, there is no need for this disciple to do this. Qin Feiyang said expressionlessly, It is because you are my disciple that I have to let you suffer more. Because I don't want to collect your corpse in the future. Wang Xiaojie immediately drooped his head, looking sullen. Qin Feiyang glanced at him and said to Wang Yangfeng, Torture them as much as you want. Don't show mercy. Wang Yangfeng shook his head and smiled. He cupped his hands and said, This old man obeys. Whoosh! At this time, Dan Wangkai rushed out from the mountain stream below and came in front of Qin Feiyang. He looked at Wang Xiaojie and Qin Chen and asked in confusion, "Why did you bring them here?" Qin Feiyang did not answer and asked, "Have you dealt with it? Don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all." Dan Wangkai nodded. "Then let's go." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and brought Dan Wangkai back to the castle. Qin Chen, once a subject, always a subject. "Little cousin, you are ambitious." As soon as he saw Qin Feiyang appear, Lu Zheng said meaningfully. Qin Feiyang was stunned and said suspiciously, "What ambition can I have? Still pretending? What does this subject represent?" "It represents the subject. You changed Mu Chen's name to Qin Chen. Doesn't it show that you are still interested in the throne of the great Qin Empire?" Lu Zheng joked. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. This guy's imagination was really rich. He had never thought about the throne of the great Qin Empire. And he changed Mu Chen's name to Qin Chen purely because the pronunciation of Chen was similar. He was too lazy to think about other names. However, he was too lazy to explain. Whoosh! He drove the castle and flew to the mountains east of the city. Mu Chen. Qin Chen. Dan Wangkai heard the conversation between the two and was stunned. Then, he went to the side of the black dragon snake and whispered, "When I left just now, did something happen? Boss Qin has recruited another subordinate." The black dragon snake secretly said. "There are more and more people under the young master. You have to work hard. Otherwise, in the future, your status in front of the young master will be lower and lower." Dan Wangkai secretly laughed. "Aren't you the same?" The black dragon snake rolled his eyes. "Me?" Dan Wangkai was stunned and secretly laughed, "I am different from you. Because I am an alchemist, I am only responsible for alchemy. Killing the enemy is your responsibility." After saying that, Dan Wangkai turned and walked to the front of the furnace and continued to refine pills. The black dragon snake and the other beasts looked at each other and felt great pressure. Qin Feiyang grew too fast. They really couldn't keep up with him. Not long after, the ancient castle flew out of the city and entered the mountains. Lu Zheng looked at the scene in front of him and frowned. "You don't want to rob the medicine field now, do you?" "Of course not now. Going to the medicine field now is just to find out the situation first. When we leave, we can find an opportunity to make a move," Qin Feiyang said. Lu Zheng said, "I think, the medicine field is such an important place. There must be someone guarding it. Maybe there is even a fake god. A fake god is not invulnerable. We can always find an opportunity." Qin Feiyang smiled confidently. Listening to the calm conversation between the two, Gong Sun Bei's heart was surging. These two brats are too scary. They didn't even let go of the Mu family's medicine field. The ancient castle moved as fast as lightning. About 500 to 600 breaths passed. Finally, in the scene in front of them, a vast plain appeared. The plain was vast and boundless. And on the plain, the medicinal herbs swayed in the wind, exuding a hazy glow. Qin Feiyang was extremely excited. Lu Zheng's face was also filled with excitement. And Dan Wangkai was so excited that he almost couldn't breathe. At a glance, it was all medicinal herbs. It was impossible to count them. Moreover, most of the medicinal herbs seen so far were 10,000 years old. However, the medicinal herbs on the periphery of the medicine field were basically some ordinary medicinal herbs. Qin Feiyang drove the ancient castle and flew into the depths of the medicine field. And as they went deeper, such as blood ginseng, fire ginseng, 9 suns flower, dragon saliva fruit, red fire glass pill, these more precious medicinal herbs also entered their sight one by one. Unknowingly, They had already gone dozens of miles into the medicine field. Suddenly, Dan Wuxia's eyes widened, staring at a certain place in the picture, and said in surprise, "No way, is that the Tree of Fortune?" "Huh?" Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng looked along, and their faces were full of disbelief. In the picture, there was a big tree more than 10 meters tall. The trunk of the big tree was as thick as 2 buckets, and it was dark all over. There were 3 thick branches on it, and each leaf on the branches was as big as a cattail leaf fan, emitting a hazy black light. It looked exactly the same as the Tree of Fortune. "Zoom in!" Dan Wuxia shouted. Qin Feiyang quivered and came back to his senses. With a wave of his hand, the picture kept zooming in. When it finally stopped, everyone could see clearly, and even the lines on the tree could be seen clearly. What else could it be but the Tree of Fortune? And on the 3 branches, there were more than 3 fruits of fortune. 5, 15, 30, oh my God, there are a total of 30 fruits of fortune. Dan Wuxia stared at the Tree of Fortune, and the greed and desire in his eyes were undisguised. For him, nothing was more important than medicinal herbs, especially such rare treasures of heaven and earth. "Young master, I beg you, you must get it, you must." He suddenly turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang. His hands were clenched tightly together, and his breathing was rapid as he enunciated each word. "I will." Qin Feiyang nodded. Putting aside the value of the fruits of fortune, this Tree of Fortune was more than 10 times bigger than the one in the ancient pagoda. One could imagine how terrifying the energy emitted by this Tree of Fortune was. If it could be transplanted to the ancient pagoda, the villagers would benefit even more. Because the energy emitted by the Tree of Fortune could change a person's physique and talent. Wait. Look at the back of the Tree of Fortune. There seems to be a person. Lu Zheng frowned. A person? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. He looked over and seemed to be able to see the silhouette of a person, but because the Tree of Fortune was too thick, he could not see everything. He steered the ancient castle toward the other side of the Tree of Fortune. As expected, an old man sat cross-legged under the Tree of Fortune. He was wearing a snow-white robe. His body was hunched, and his hair was white. However, he wore a mask on his face, so his true appearance could not be seen. His aura was as unfathomable as the ocean. "It's him." Gongsun Bei's expression changed. "Who? Is he very strong?" Lu Zheng was surprised. Qin Feiyang's expression also darkened. "Very strong. It is said that he has stepped into the peak of the false god realm." He was no stranger to this white-robed old man. Because this was the person who had chased him to the glacier forest. And the snow python had snatched the real space-time gate from this person. Chapter 13-16. The Peak of the False God Realm. Lu Zheng was dumbfounded. Didn't this mean that this person was only one step away from stepping into the true war god realm? Gongsun Bei shook his head and smiled. "With him here, it's impossible for you to rob the herb field." "There's nothing impossible in this world." Qin Feiyang murmured. "Look! There's a purple spirit flower." Dan Wuxia suddenly roared again. He was so excited that his hands and feet were dancing. Calm down, calm down." Qin Feiyang patted Dan Wuxia's shoulder. There were indeed many precious herbs around the Tree of Fortune. For example, the various herbs of the Great Creation Pill and the various herbs of the Spirit Congealing Pill, however. Most of the herbs were ranked at the bottom. There were not many rare herbs like the purple spirit flower and the spiritual infant fruit that were ranked at the top. But even so, it was still very shocking. "Let's go to the sacred mountain." Qin Feiyang glanced at the old man in the white robe, then drove the castle back the way it came and rushed towards the south of the city. The most important thing now was to figure out the Mu family's background. As long as he figured out this, he could make a plan to rob the herb field. The Sacred Mountain. The mountain range was majestic and magnificent. On top of a certain mountain, there was a huge palace. The palace was more than 100 feet high, golden and magnificent, extraordinary. At this moment, in the main hall, a middle-aged man was squatting on the throne, wearing a purple and gold robe. His eyebrows were like swords, and he was majestic without being angry. This person was Mu Qing's father, the head of the Mu family. Below, Mu Yuan and Viper stood respectfully. The head of the Mu family glanced at the two and finally looked at Mu Yuan. He said in a deep voice, "Are you sure Mu Dahue is missing? This old man went to check it personally, it's absolutely true. Moreover, this old man has investigated the area within a few hundred miles outside the entrance and finally found traces of a battle in a valley. I think not only Mu Dahue, but also Mu Sheng is probably dead." Mu Yuan said. "Who dares to touch the Mu family?" The head of the Mu family was furious. "Patriarch, please calm down. Right now, the first thing we need to investigate is, did this perpetrator accidentally barge into the Fire Phoenix mountain range, or did he deliberately come here?" Mu Yuan said. "What do you mean?" The Mu Jia's lord frowns. "If it's unintentional, then it's fine. However, if it's deliberate, it means that someone wants to harm our Mu family. Furthermore, this person knows our Mu family like the back of his hand. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to find our Mu family's entrance." Mu Yuan said. The Mu Jia lord's heart sank. "Then, in your opinion, is this person unintentional or deliberate? This old man doesn't dare to speak carelessly. But so far, this old man has yet to discover anyone infiltrating this place." Mu Yuan shook his head. The Mu Jia's lord raised his eyebrows and turned to look at Viper. "Mu Xing, tell me the details of the situation at that time." "Yes." Viper replied respectfully. Then, he used his silver tongue to weave an incomparably realistic story. And then there was Qin Feiyang. At this moment, he was already in the air above the Sacred Mountain. The Sacred Mountain was huge. The mountains rose and fell, and the rivers surged. There were also many ferocious beasts in the mountain streams. Among them, there were 10 giant peaks that were particularly eye-catching. The 10 giant peaks were like 2 giant hands, standing in the middle of the Sacred Mountain. The lowest one was 50 to 60,000 feet high, and it was magnificent. And on top of the 10 giant peaks, Qin Feiyang could sense countless powerful auras. These auras were not the auras of ferocious beasts, but the auras of humans. And without exception, all of them were the auras of combat emperors. From 1-star combat emperors to 7-star combat emperors. At the top of each of the 10 mountains, there was an ancient stone tower. These 10 stone towers had 10 floors, and they were completely black. There was no sense of luxury, but they were like 10 ancient giant beasts lying on top of the mountain, giving people a heart-palpitating aura. Lu Jing glanced at the 10 stone towers and frowned. "They don't look like divine weapons." "Gong Sun Bei, do you know what's inside the 10 stone towers?" Gong Sun Bei shook his head. "The 10 giant peaks can only sense the auras of 1-star combat emperors and 7-star combat emperors. Then where are the Mu family's 8-star combat emperors, 9-star combat emperors, and false gods?" Lu Jing frowned. Suddenly, his body shook, and he looked at the 10 stone towers again. He said in surprise, "They can't be inside, right?" "It's possible." Qin Feiyang thought. Lu Jing said, "Let's go and take a look." Qin Feiyang controlled the ancient castle, cut through the sky, and landed in front of one of the ancient towers. There were no carvings or patterns on the ancient tower, and it was very simple. The tower door was closed, and there was no one guarding in front of it. There was not even a shadow nearby, and it was very quiet. "I'll go out and take a look." Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered, and he suddenly said. "Don't." Hearing Qin Feiyang's words, Lu Zheng and Gongsun Bei quickly grabbed him. One had to know. This was the Mu family's sacred mountain. All the experts of the Mu family were here. What if they were discovered? At that time, they were afraid that the saying would come true, and even the heavens would not be able to save them. Lu Jing thought for a moment and suggested, let the spirit snake emperor go out. It can be invisible, so it's relatively safe. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the spirit snake emperor. But the spirit snake emperor pretended not to hear. What a joke. Only a fool would go for such a dangerous thing. Ahem. Qin Feiyang of course knew that the spirit snake emperor was pretending. He clenched his fist, put it to his mouth, and said with a smile, don't worry, I will come to your rescue. The spirit snake emperor opened its eyes and said angrily, why do I have to go every time there is such a dangerous thing? It can't be helped. Who asked you to be so strong? Only you can do it. Qin Feiyang laughed. The spirit snake emperor said angrily, so, according to you, being strong is also a kind of fault. No, no, no. Being strong means that you are powerful. Capable people do more work. Don't worry, I will be here to help you at any time. I guarantee that you will not be hurt. Qin Feiyang said solemnly. My head hurts. The spirit snake emperor shook its head and got up reluctantly. It rolled its eyes at Qin Feiyang and said, send me out. Thanks. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the spirit snake emperor immediately appeared in front of the pagoda door. The color of its skin changed immediately, and it merged with the ground in an instant. Lu Zheng was amazed and said enviously, how good would it be if I had such an ability? Then you should quickly go and report to the underworld. When you reincarnate, give the king of hell some benefits. He will definitely satisfy you. Wolf King joked. Get lost. Lu Zheng's face darkened. Wasn't this cursing him to die early? Then, he looked at the spirit snake emperor. It slowly approached the door of the pagoda, then raised its tail and tried to push the door. However, just as the spirit snake emperor's tail touched the door, the entire stone pagoda buzzed and a black light screen appeared. It seemed to have triggered some kind of mechanism. Not only was the spirit snake emperor shocked, but Qin Feiyang and the others in the castle were also shocked. Qin Feiyang quickly waved his hand and prepared to help the spirit snake emperor. However, Lu Jing suddenly stopped him and said in a low voice, we can't let it in now. If someone appears later and finds that there is no one here, they will definitely be suspicious. That's true. Qin Feiyang muttered and said to the spirit snake emperor telepathically, quickly change your appearance and pretend to be a beast here and escape down the mountain. Fuck. Didn't you say that you would help me? The spirit snake emperor was furious, but it did not dare to hesitate. It immediately changed the color of its skin and turned into a half-meter long green snake and rushed to the edge of the cliff. Right at this moment, the door of the pagoda opened and a burly middle-aged man strode out. His aura had reached the level of a 9-star combat emperor. His eyes were sharp as he scanned the area in front of him and quickly found the spirit snake emperor. The spirit snake emperor had just reached the edge of the cliff. Damn beast, how dare you come here and cause trouble? The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with killing intent. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang's face changed and he quickly controlled the castle to fly toward the spirit snake emperor. At the same time, sensing the middle-aged man's terrifying aura, the spirit serpent emperor hurriedly leaped into the underbrush below the cliff and disappeared. What happened? Just as the middle-aged man was about to chase after the spirit snake emperor, another old man walked out of the pagoda. This old man had a hunched back and his long hair was messy. He was wearing an old yellow robe and there was no aura around him. He looked inconspicuous. However, when he looked at the old man, the middle-aged man, who was a 9-star combat emperor, had a respectful expression. A green snake just came in. It must have touched the door and caused the stone pagoda to sound the alarm. The middle-aged man said. The old man nodded and waved his hand. It's just a beast, there's no need to go through so much trouble. Yes. The middle-aged man nodded. Whoosh! At this moment, the Mu family head and Mu Yuan arrived in front of the stone pagoda. The Mu family head glanced at the stone pagoda in surprise and asked, "Why did the stone pagoda react?" "Nothing. It's just a blind beast that came to cause trouble and now it has been scared away," the old man said with a smile. Oh. The Mu family head and the middle-aged man were relieved. "What's wrong? Why do you look so nervous?" The old man and the middle-aged man looked at the two in confusion. The Mu family head sighed. "Not long ago, something big happened at our entrance, so now I'm very uneasy." "What's the big deal?" The old man frowned. The Mu family head said, "Mu Dahui and a child named Mu Sheng, who were guarding the entrance, met with an accident not long ago." "What?" The old man's face changed and said, "Tell me clearly." The Mu Jia's lord briefly explained the matter. "They actually hurt my Mu family's people, they're simply courting death." The old man was furious. He asked, "Did you find the culprit?" "No." The Mu family head shook his head. The old man shouted, "Then quickly send someone to investigate. And you, Mu Yuan, be sure to keep an eye on the barrier. If you find anyone suspicious, don't say anything. Kill them first and report later." His tone was full of murderous intent. "Yes." Mu Yuan bowed and replied. "Then go quickly, especially the main pagoda, focus on investigating. Because in the entire Forgotten Continent, only the people in the main pagoda know the address of the Mu family." Chapter 13-17. Good. Mu Jia's lord nodded and turned away. But suddenly he seemed to think of something. He turned to look at the old man and frowned. 8 days ago, Qin Feiyang entered the Central Divine Kingdom. Could this matter have something to do with him? "What did you say?" "Qin Feiyang is back." The old man looked at him in surprise. "Yes. At that time in the Pill Tower Square, many people saw it with their own eyes." Mu Jia's lord said. "Then where is he now?" The old man asked. "As soon as he entered the Central Divine Kingdom, he never appeared again. Now no one knows where he is." Mu Jia's lord said. "Why did this little beast suddenly return to the Forgotten Continent?" The old man lowered his head, his brows were tightly knitted, there was an indescribable irritation in his heart. If Qin Feiyang didn't come back, then this matter would be easy to investigate. But Qin Feiyang's return made the whole thing complicated. That's right. The old man suddenly thought of something. He looked up at the Mu Jia's lord and asked. "Did you find Qin, or?" "No." Mu Jia's lord shook his head. "Then what have you been doing all this time? Why can't you find a living person?" The old man was furious and fiercely reprimanded. Mu Jia's lord bowed his head, he didn't dare to refute. "And you?" The old man looked at Mu Yuan again and said angrily. "When Qin left, why didn't you ask clearly and then open the divine barrier and let him go? Do you know how important Qin is to our Mu Jia? Like this time. If Qin was here, even if Qin Feiyang hid at the end of the world, we would still be able to find him with the divine eye. We wouldn't be so passive." The old man was very angry. The two didn't dare to say a word. It seems that the old man's prestige in the Mu Jia is very high. The old man said in a deep voice. "I'm telling you, no matter what price you have to pay, you must find Qin for me, otherwise, I will hold you responsible. Get out." The two's body trembled, they quickly turned around and left. Trash. Looking at the backs of the two people, the old man snorted with dissatisfaction. The middle-aged man next to him retracted his gaze and comforted him. "Old Hai, don't worry. Although Qin is young, she's smart. There shouldn't be any accidents. I hope so. The old man sighed. Back then, in order to investigate the whereabouts of Ren Duxing, Qin Feiyang entered the Forgotten Continent. In order to take revenge, Mu Qin used her all-seeing eye at all times to predict Qin Feiyang's location. As such, when Qin Feiyang had entered the Forgotten Continent, Mu Qin had immediately predicted his arrival and immediately headed to the glacier forest. At that time, the gate of time and space was robbed, and the second grandmaster of the Mu clan was killed. This caused him to almost lose his mind. Therefore, when he left, he did not tell anyone that he was going to find Qin Feiyang. Therefore, now, the Mu family only knew that Mu Qin was missing. They didn't know that Mu Qin had fallen into the hands of Qin Feiyang. They also didn't know that Mu Qin was now by Lu Xingqian's side. In fact, they had also suspected that Mu Qin had gone to the great Qin Empire to find Qin Feiyang for revenge. After all, when they were fighting for the divine crystal, Qin Feiyang had caused their Mu family to suffer heavy losses. Mu Qin definitely couldn't take this lying down. But there was nothing they could do. The gate of time and space was stolen. The teleportation altar was guarded by the snow python. They couldn't send anyone to the great Qin Empire to investigate. So until today, the Mu family was still searching for Mu Qin everywhere in the Forgotten Continent. They were even wondering if Mu Qin had met with misfortune. Otherwise, why hadn't she returned for so long? At the same time, Qin Feiyang also found the spirit snake emperor in the underbrush at the bottom of the cliff and brought it into the castle. What are you doing? Do you know that I almost died? As soon as it entered the castle, the spirit snake emperor roared in dissatisfaction. Aren't we fine? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. That's because I was lucky. The spirit snake emperor snorted. Qin Feiyang said helplessly, we've known each other for so long. Don't you trust me? If your life was really in danger, I wouldn't leave you alone even if I had to expose my whereabouts. Who knows what's in a person's heart? The spirit snake emperor snorted and lay on the ground, closing its eyes and meditating. It would never do such a dangerous thing again. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly. He controlled the castle and flew to the top of the mountain. Immediately, he saw Old Hai and the middle-aged man entering the stone tower. The door of the tower slowly closed. However, it wasn't completely closed. Lu Jing asked, this is a good opportunity. Do you want to go in? Gong Sun Bei said, but if you go in, it'll be difficult to come out. Think carefully. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Let's go in. Qin Feiyang gritted his teeth and controlled the castle. At the last moment before the door closed, he flew into the stone tower. What entered his vision was a staircase that led to the top floor. Beside the staircase, there was a wide corridor. The floor was covered with gray stone tiles, clean and bright. On both sides of the corridor, there was a closed stone door every 10 meters. Just inside the stone door, Qin Feiyang and the others could clearly feel a terrifying aura. 8-star combat emperors. Obviously. Behind the stone door, there were many cultivation rooms. Lu Jing said in a low voice, the Mu family's 8-star combat emperors are indeed all cultivating in the stone tower. Qin Feiyang controlled the castle and flew down the corridor. Gradually, his expression turned solemn. Because the first floor of the stone tower had 50 cultivation rooms. Moreover, there were people in each cultivation room. In other words, just the first floor alone had 58-star combat emperors. He controlled the castle and returned to the front door, flying towards the second floor. The second floor also had 50 cultivation rooms and 58-star combat emperors. The third floor. The fourth floor. The fifth floor. The sixth and seventh floors were the same. In other words, There were a total of 358 star combat emperors on the 7th floor. Gongsun Bei's expression became extremely serious. Next, Qin Feiyang flew to the 8th and 9th floor. These two floors were even more shocking. There were also 50 cultivation rooms, but the aura that came out from them were all 9-star combat emperors. This is too scary. Dan Wangkai muttered to himself. One had to know. Now, aside from the 9-star combat emperors, there were only 18 9-star combat emperors around Qin Feiyang. And here, just in this stone tower alone, there were 109-star combat emperors, not to mention the 9 stone towers outside. There was no comparison at all. The Mu family's foundation was too scary. Phew! Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He let out a long breath and controlled the castle to fly to the 10th floor. Elder Hai's cultivation room was on the 10th floor. But when they entered the 10th floor, Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. There were 50 cultivation rooms here, but they couldn't sense any aura. If they hadn't seen Elder Hai enter one of the cultivation rooms with their own eyes, they would have thought that there was no one here. No. Lu Jing suddenly thought of something and his body trembled. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang and Gongsun Bei looked at him in surprise. Lu Jing said, there are people in these 50 cultivation rooms, but their auras have all disappeared. We can't sense them. What does this mean? Gongsun Bei said. I understand. Qin Feiyang suddenly spoke, his eyes flashing. What do you understand? Gongsun Bei looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, the people in these 50 cultivation rooms have reached the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm. That's right. Their goal now is to become a god. So now, they must be comprehending the ultimacy of becoming a god. Although I don't understand what's going on, when the elders in my clan are comprehending the ultimacy of becoming a god, their auras will all disappear. Lu Jing said in a deep voice. Now that you've reminded me, I remember it too. The experts in my main pagoda who have reached the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm also don't have any aura when they cultivate. So they're comprehending the ultimacy of becoming a god. Gongsun Bei said in realization. That's not the point. The point is, there are 358-star combat emperors, 109-star combat emperors, and 50 peak 9-star combat emperors in this stone pagoda. Do you know how terrifying this force is? They can destroy a super tribe with a wave of their hand. Lu Jing roared. Hearing Lu Zheng's words, both Gongsun Bei and Qin Feiyang fell silent. No one would have thought that the Mu family's foundation was so terrifying. It was so terrifying that it made people despair. Don't forget, there are still 9 stone pagodas outside. If the situation in the 9 stone pagodas is the same as here, then I'll tell you that no one can shake the Mu family. Lu Jing shook his head and sneered. Qin Feiyang and Gongsun Bei looked at each other and felt bitter. If the other 9 stone pagodas were the same as here, then the peak 9-star combat emperors would be the same as the 8-star combat emperors and 9-star combat emperors. 10 ancient pagodas meant there were 500 of them. 500 super experts. This was not something they could handle at all. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and asked, Brother Gongsun, how is the main pagoda's foundation now? Gongsun Bei smiled bitterly, the main pagoda doesn't have the potential pill, so it's definitely not as good as the Mu family. What about the specifics? Qin Feiyang asked. It's not convenient to disclose the specifics. I can only tell you that our main pagoda is not even 1/5 of the Mu family's. Gongsun Bei sighed. Qin Feiyang's heart sank. After thousands of years of cultivation, the Mu family had grown to a point where no one could catch up to them. Gongsun Bei asked, what about the great Qin Empire? I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Lu Jing said, the great Qin Empire's foundation is similar to the main pagoda's. If we really want to go to war with the Mu family, three forces must join forces. Which three forces? Qin Feiyang and Gongsun Bei looked at him suspiciously. Lu Jing said, the main pagoda, the great Qin Empire, and my Lu family. That's impossible. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Lu Jing said, when it comes to a matter of life and death, nothing is impossible. That's not right. Your Lu family has also cultivated for thousands of years, and you also have the potential pill. Why can't you compare to the Mu family? Qin Feiyang frowned. Because my Lu family has no ambition. For generations, we just want to live a peaceful life. Otherwise, the great Qin Empire would have changed its name. Chapter 13:18. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Changing his name. As long as he was here, no one would be able to take away the empire left by his ancestors, unless they stepped over his dead body. Wait. We only saw battle emperors, not false gods. Are the only false gods of the Mu family the white-robed old man in Yiglao? Gongsun Bei was shocked. Definitely more than that. Lu Jing shook his head. The Mu family had been cultivating here for tens of thousands of years and had given birth to so many peak 9-star battle emperors. How could they only have two false gods? Either these fake divinities were hiding in the other 9 stone towers, or they were hiding somewhere else. In this world, the most important thing is still the false gods. Because any false god is enough to kill all the 9-star battle emperors of the Mu family. So, we have to find out how many false gods the Mu family has. Qin Feiyang said solemnly. Actually, we don't have to worry too much. Because even if the Mu family is a few times more powerful than the main tower still has the capital to fight against them. Gongsun Bei said. What capital? Qin Feiyang and Lu Jing looked at him in shock. I can't tell you. Gongsun Bei smiled mysteriously and said, I believe that the great Qin Empire also has the capital to fight against the Mu family. I don't know. I only know that the great Qin Empire has 4 false gods, including the national teacher. Qin Feiyang said. 4 false gods, Gongsun Bei murmured and smiled. I think it's more than that. Maybe the great Qin Empire has something that the Mu family is afraid of. Otherwise, the Mu family would have done something. Makes sense. Qin Feiyang nodded thoughtfully. Lu Jing said, we're almost done here. Let's go out first and find a way to check the other towers. Qin Feiyang let out a long breath and controlled the ancient castle to fly to the first floor. Soon. The ancient castle arrived in front of the tower. Lu Jing looked at the pagoda door and frowned. There should be a mechanism on this door. Let's go out and look for it. Did the sun rise from the west? You actually volunteered to go out and risk your life? Qin Feiyang looked at him in surprise. Lu Jing pointed at his nose in astonishment. I'm going to have a whole new level of respect for you. Qin Feiyang gave him a thumbs up and chuckled. With a wave of his hand, he sent Lu Jing out. Bastard! Which year did you hear that I volunteered to come out? I'm calling for the Spirit Snake Emperor to come out. Lu Jing was so angry that his nose was crooked. Although he was angry, he did not slack off. He vigilantly glanced at the cultivation room behind him and began to search carefully. However, he checked all around the tower door, but didn't find any mechanism. Try and see if you can push it away. Qin Feiyang's voice sounded in his mind. It's not like you didn't see the situation when the Spirit Snake Emperor touched the pagoda door. Now you want me to push it away. Do you want me to die? Lu Jing said angrily in secret. That's outside. And inside, there's usually no trigger mechanism like that. Qin Feiyang said. Lu Jing raised his eyebrows and stared at the pagoda door. Finally, he raised his arm and carefully leaned toward the pagoda door. Who are you? But suddenly, A cold voice sounded. Lu Zheng and Qin Feiyang in the ancient castle were shocked at the same time. They saw a middle-aged man standing at the staircase on the second floor. He was thin and wore a long black robe. His aura had reached the level of a 9-star war emperor. Why am I so unlucky? Lu Zheng complained in his heart. He braced himself and turned to look at the middle-aged man in black. He bowed and said, Junior Muizheng greets Senior. Muizheng. The middle-aged man raised his eyebrows. Inside the castle, Qin Feiyang's face was also filled with shock. But soon, he understood. It turned out that Lu Zheng wanted to pretend to be a disciple of the Mu family and get away with it. After all, there were many people in the Mu family. This middle-aged man might not have seen everyone. But, will it work? Qin Feiyang couldn't help but worry. The middle-aged man looked at Lu Zheng and asked, only those above the level of an 8-star war emperor can enter this place. Why are you here? Lu Zheng's mind was running fast. Suddenly, he had an idea. He cupped his hands and said, Old Hai asked me to come. This guy is quite smart. Qin Feiyang shook his head in amusement. Although he didn't know Old Hai's identity, it wasn't difficult to see that Old Hai must be highly respected in the Mu family from the attitude of the Mu family's patriarch and Mu Yuan. With Old Hai as a backer, he might be able to get away with it. Old Hai. Sure enough. Hearing the two words Old Hai, the middle-aged man was very surprised and asked, Why did Old Hai ask you to come here? This, Lu Zheng hesitated and said awkwardly, Senior, it's really inconvenient to say more about this matter. I hope you can forgive me. If you really want to know, you can ask Old Hai yourself. Then forget it. The middle-aged man waved his hand and seemed to be quite afraid of Old Hai. Seeing the change in the middle-aged man's attitude, Lu Zheng was secretly relieved and then asked, Senior, are you going out too? I'm going to the medicine field to find a few herbs. The middle-aged man smiled and walked down the stairs. Senior, please go ahead. Lu Zheng's eyes lit up and respectfully retreated to the side, showing a very polite look. In fact, he wanted the middle-aged man to help him open the tower door. Quite a good little guy. The middle-aged man didn't think much about it. Instead, he praised Lu Zheng's performance and then took out a silver token from his arms. Lu Zheng stared at the token and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Immediately after, the middle-aged man grabbed the token and the battle chi in his palm surged into the token. Buzz! The next moment, a brilliant silver beam swept out from the token and merged into the tower door. At that moment, the tower door opened quickly. It turns out that the token is the key to opening the tower door. Lu Zheng muttered secretly, a trace of light flashing in the depths of his eyes. When the tower door opened, the middle-aged man put away the token and strode out. Lu Zheng hurriedly followed him out. Smelling the fresh air outside, his suspended heart finally settled down. Immediately, he looked at the middle-aged man's back and a trace of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. The middle-aged man turned to look at Lu Zheng and asked with a smile, Can you tell me, what is your relationship with Old Hai? Lu Zheng was about to speak. But suddenly, he felt a mysterious force enveloping him. The next moment, he disappeared into thin air in front of the tower. And the middle-aged man also disappeared with Lu Zheng. At the same time, Lu Zheng and the middle-aged man appeared in the sky above a mountain range at the same time. The middle-aged man glanced below, his eyes full of surprise. Lu Zheng also looked around suspiciously, but found everything in front of him very familiar. Soon, he smiled. Because this was the ancient tower. Since he and the middle-aged man appeared in the ancient tower, it meant that Qin Feiyang must be here too. He glanced at the mountain range below and the surrounding void, then looked up. As expected, Qin Feiyang was standing above the two of them. Lu Jing grinned and said, "It seems that we have the same idea. Otherwise, how can we be cousins?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Who are you talking to?" The middle-aged man looked at Lu Jing in surprise. "See for yourself." Lu Jing pointed up. The middle-aged man looked up and immediately changed color. How could it be Qin Feiyang? The next moment, he glared at Lu Jing and roared, "You actually colluded with Qin Feiyang." Whoosh! Lu Jing smiled disdainfully, flew into the sky, and landed beside Qin Feiyang. He looked down at the middle-aged man and joked, "You don't really think that my name is Qin Feiyang and that I'm from your Mu family, do you?" The middle-aged man was stunned and immediately realized that he had been fooled. He said in a deep voice, "Who are you?" This young master will never change his name or his surname. "I am Lu Jing." Lu Jing said proudly. Lu Jing, surnamed Lu, together with Qin Feiyang again, still cousins, could it be? The middle-aged man muttered to himself. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something, and his body trembled. "You're from the great Qin Empire's Lu family?" Lu Jing said playfully, "It seems that my Lu family has not been forgotten by your Mu family. How could this be?" The middle-aged man looked incredulous. "Why are you in my Mu family? How did you pass through the divine power barrier?" Qin Feiyang said, "This question, when you go to hell, someone will tell you." "Huh," the middle-aged man looked up and laughed. "What are you laughing at?" Qin Feiyang looked at him coldly. "I'm laughing at your naivety. With your insignificant cultivation, you want to kill me?" The middle-aged man laughed wildly. The aura of a 9-star combat emperor erupted like a volcano and rushed toward Qin Feiyang. "Is a 9-star combat emperor very strong?" Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and shouted, "All of you, come out." Roar! Before his voice died away. Below the mountain stream, the roars of beasts were deafening. The middle-aged man hurriedly looked down and saw many ferocious beasts, carrying monstrous ferocity, rushing into the sky and surrounding him. The middle-aged man's body could not help but tremble. His face was full of horror. There were so many emperor beasts. And all of them were 9-star emperor beasts, a total of 80 to 90. Seahorses and seals were also among them. Lu Jing sneered and said, "Now tell me, are you naive or are we naive? Why does he have so many 9-star emperor beasts around him?" The middle-aged man shook his head crazily, unable to accept this terrible fact. "Your Mu family has been in contact with me for so long, don't you know that I, Qin Feiyang, never do things that I'm not sure of? Since I dared to come to your Mu family, then I've never been afraid of anyone. Cripple him." Qin Feiyang's eyes surged with murderous intent as he shouted. "Brothers, go!" Seahorses roared. A group of 9-star emperor beasts suddenly rushed toward the middle-aged man like hungry wolves pouncing on their prey. "Little bastards, I'll perish together with you." The middle-aged man roared, his body filled with a destructive aura. Obviously, he wanted to self-destruct. He had no choice. Facing 80 to 99-star emperor beasts, even if he had the ability to defy the heavens, he would die sooner or later. So, instead of risking his life, he might as well self-destruct. And as a 9-star combat emperor, the destructive power of self-destruction was enough to instantly kill this group of 9-star emperor beasts, including Qin Feiyang and Lu Jing. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.